I was still muted. Okay, we're going live just a smidge early to let everyone kind of trickle in, okay? I know Sunday I don't normally stream, okay? I don't normally do this. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm hoping this is well received. It's also a different format than I normally do. Normally I'll do panels or I'll just rant for a bit and do some call-ins, things like that. But today we're going to actually be doing a one-on-one interview of sorts, a conversation more with 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜, YouTuber. I was I found a few weeks ago. I ran across his stuff, okay, and I was pleasantly surprised about the production values. Were very well. I liked his commentary. He doesn't have a lot of videos that I could find, but the ones that I found, I enjoyed. And I reached out to him. No, the YouTube stream's up. Is the YouTube stream not up? Did it not start yet? No, people are watching. Not a lot yet, but they'll get in. Red talks about stuff. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Who else is here? Averagely Mannered Rice. Yeah, there's a YouTube stream. It's up. You can check it out right now. We're live on there. Again, it's early, and I know I'm a little early because I'm gonna. Again, this is not a day I normally stream, so who knows how this will go. I hope it goes well. I'm excited to talk to this guy, and yeah, we'll see what he has to say. There's a lot to talk about. Okay, gang. He put out 2 videos that were, I think, excellently done. Let me get the titles for you. And just so I'm not giving you, what's it called? Misinformation, okay? So, You're Being Radicalized, I think, is his latest. It's about how the right and left political streamers, commentators, if you will, Hassan and Steven Crowder are both wild pieces of shit. He did one a month ago on Hassan specifically, called The Worst Political Streamer. And I don't know if I agree with that, by the way. I've seen worse political streamers, but they're small. They're very, very small. But there's a lot of them. And we're just going to talk about it. I think there's a lot to unpack here, and it's especially interesting given the recent award, I guess, Frogan received. I don't know what to call it. A status, a reward, an award. I don't know. She's going to be like Legendary Woman Spotlight. And Frogan, by the way, in case we were all wondering, who's Frogan? Let me remind you. Let me remind you who Frogan was. This is the person who on October 7th of last year, yes, that October 7th, tweeted out this. Leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of a revolution happening in America. But as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. On October 7th. Yeah. Legendary Woman of the Year, gang. Legendary Woman of the Year. Okay. So it'll be fun. It'll be great. But let's bring on 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙. Let's see what he has to say. Hello, you're live.
Oh, okay. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? You got a camera for us today?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I messaged you if I should, but I didn't know.
Yeah, take your time, man. I'm a little early. Anyway, I figured I was just sitting here. I was like, why just sit here when I can just let people kind of trickle in? I don't usually go live on Sundays, so we'll see how much we get. But I appreciate you
Oh,
being here.
yeah, of course. I appreciate you having me. Trying to figure all this. Figure that out. There we go. I think it should be working. Is it working? Is it on?
I can't see it yet. You gotta click the video button.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Ah,
There
aha!
we go.
We have a Visual
I'm not
connection.
technologically challenged, but I'm close.
You know what? I struggle myself from time to time. I have an admin who helps me out when I get really desperate. I'll just DM him
Hold
desperately
on
like,
one
"Hey, it's just not
second
working."
there.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I had to get all the lights and all that shit set up. So okay, we're good.
Great. Well, hi. How's it going, man? What you been up
I'm
to?
I'm doing good. First off, if I'm looking here, I got the monitor here and the camera here, so sorry in advance. It's a little weird, but I'm good. I just kind of woke up from a nap. I think I ate a little bit too much like a child, so I'm like recovering from that. And yeah, other than that, I'm feeling good. How about you?
Well, so far so good, but there's still plenty of time for things to go horribly wrong. We're just starting, okay? We're just starting out, and
Fair,
so
fair.
we got at least an hour here to kind of see where the road takes us. Um,
Sure. I'm
can
thinking positively.
you know what? That's based. That's based. I'm not an optimist myself. I
Mm,
call well, that's not true. I call myself a realistic optimist, right? Like,
okay,
what I
that's
mean by
fair.
that is that I always think that bad shit's gonna happen. But no matter what happens, I'm gonna be happy with it. And that's how I go. And so it's kind of optimistic, but not really. Anyway, um,
Okay, fair.
yeah. So before we get too awkward, I just wanted
Okay,
to ask you, right?
sure,
Um, in your I don't think it was the most recent one, but in the Hassan video that you did,
sure, yeah.
you mentioned that you don't feel bad for Ethan Klein, and I'm curious. I'm not sure how familiar with you are with some of the latest stuff he's been going through and things like that, but do you stand by that?
Hmm.
I'm just really curious.
I really just meant in terms of the Hassan stuff. Not like
Sure.
anything that ever happens to him in his life.
Oh yeah, it's still Hassan related is what I'm referring to. I don't think he's
Oh,
going anything. I don't think he has
no,
any.
fill me in. Fill me in. I can always change. One thing I do have to say, the sign not being on is bothering me. I've already had,
Take
you
your
know, friends of yours attack me for this, so shout out to
friends.
Erudite. She did give me shit, so let me just make sure it's on. Just for her. Alright, there we go.
Erudite attacking you? Oh
Okay,
man.
my apologies.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. Okay,
Welcome back.
sorry. Fill me in on what's going on with Ethan and Asana, because I don't know.
Fair enough. So recently, Frogan was made Twitch's Legendary Woman of the Year. I'm not sure exactly uh, if that's the title. I'm not sure if it's an award.
What's
Uh,
that even mean?
but basically, she'll be
Woman of the year.
spotlighted, put on the
Mm.
front page of Twitch.
Oh
Um,
wow.
for I'm not sure the details, right? But it's she tweeted about it. She was excited about it and things like that.
Hmm.
Ethan made some comments on that because I'm sure you know that they had their little back and forth during the
Yeah, yeah. She's
October
a
issue,
Hassan
right?
mod. That was, yeah. She was
Yeah,
going a
yeah.
little hard on Ethan.
Well, just a little, a
Just a little bit,
smidge.
yeah.
And there's been some animosity back and forth. People
Mm.
are blaming Ethan and Brianna Wu, both, because I guess recently Frogan got put on the Stop Anti-Semitism Twitter page with 300,000 followers, things like that, and
Mm.
it's been put on blast like that. And so obviously people are blaming Ethan. People are saying that he's responsible for all her woes. He's an Islamophobe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I
Right.
guess the reason I'm asking and the reason I'm bringing this up is just
Sure.
to kind of get your like I get that he's kind of made his own bed in a real way,
Hmm.
right? Like he
Yes.
attracted that audience, he brought those people into his influence and things like that. But my
Hmm.
question for you is at what point at what point do we just like okay, this is just too much even if you've brought it on yourself? I'm just curious.
Um, well, I guess there's two things, right? Like I would say the people that are attacking Ethan for all this stuff, I think those people are just like, irrational. to blame him for everything that she's going through. Like, there's if she was innocent in this, there's not really anything Ethan could do to, like, screw her over. Can I cuss here?
Yes, you can cuss here.
Okay,
Just
I
no
thought so.
slurs, okay, sir.
I did
Okay.
see that. I read the rules. I just wanted to, just be 100%
No, you're good.
respectful to your platform. But like, there's nothing you could do to really fuck her over like that. Like, maybe people think she's anti-Semitic because of the shit, or anti-Semitic. Wow, anti-Semitic because of the things she was saying, not because of Ethan has some like weird, you know, uh, powers or anything like that. So yeah, that's not really fair to him, but it's not the first time people have said irrational shit to him, and it's not going to be the last. In terms of like how bad I feel for him, like, I don't know. Yeah, I
That's
still
fair.
don't.
That's fair. I
But I mean,
just,
like, Ethan doesn't need my sympathy. He's fine.
yeah, I get that. I get that, and I don't know if I agree. I guess I'm a little too soft-hearted with these things. I'm too forgiving.
Fair. I'm not. I tell everybody I'm like 15% sociopathic, so it's like I get it. And I said you probably should be, but I just personally I don't care. I don't feel bad. This is the audience you wanted to kiss their ass. You're willing to throw everybody else under the bus. You don't want to be fair to other people. So when people are super unfair to you, I'm not going to be like, "Oh no, poor Ethan." Like, you're a grown ass man. You make your decisions and you deal with the consequences.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What made you want to start doing these videos on um
Like
political
political people.
commentators, right? So because you've done a few. This isn't the first video you've done.
Yeah.
I see even a year ago you were talking about woke leftists and
Yeah.
other extremists. So can you kind
Yeah.
of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, how can I was actually talking about this on stream. Somebody asked me a similar question. Um, so how can I answer this? I guess, like, the more I learn about YouTube, the more I learn about, like, it's like a balance between like authenticity and, like, marketing and like trying to say whatever's current or whatever. And with my first like woke people video, I really just found a group of people that irritated me and that I thought were like very hypocritical and obnoxious. And I was like, okay, what's the one thing that all of these people have in common? Like the Nick Greens, Hassan, Ethan, all of these people, oh, they're all like kind of left leaning, people. So I just made like a video encompassing all the things that they did that I thought were annoying, and I just made a video on it. And people tended to connect with that. A lot of people, like, when they saw that, they assume I'm like some like right wing big Republican guy or blah blah blah, and I'm really like a pretty left leaning person. And another thing that went into that decision making was like, I know with my style of humor, I'm gonna talk a lot of shit. I'm gonna be a little bit aggressive. So I thought it would only be fair to like make my videos or do my like commentary on people who do commentary themselves. I feel like just because I don't like somebody or they do things, if I don't see them like attacking people or being super aggressive, it just felt like fucked up for me to like go in on somebody unless I thought either they talk a lot of shit themselves or they're really like a net negative. And that's how I feel about Hassan. I think he's both. And that's how I feel about like Red Pill. Like, I mean, I guess like Red Pill, they're always attacking women, but you're not really gonna see them like make like a hit piece video or whatever on like an individual person. So to me, it's like fair. And when I make these videos, I'm like, would I play this in front of them, sitting next to them? Would I play it in front of them and their mom? And if I say no, then I don't make the video. I know that's weird, but like that's how I go about it. And that's how I try to be fair, and that's how I try to, stay true to myself and all that cringe shit. But yeah.
No, I get you. In front of their mom, interesting. I'm not sure if. See, I'm just thinking of the people I've talked to and the way I've talked to them in various occasions, even when we have strenuous disagreements. I don't
Sure.
know. When you're in front of someone's family, I hold back. Again, maybe I'm too soft-hearted or not, but
And I do hold back in my videos, that's the thing.
really. Oh well, give us a
Oh
take
yeah,
you
every
wouldn't.
time.
Give us a take you wouldn't put in your videos, okay? Since we're only on a stream
Um
now, right? Like it's okay. only for a
I
live
guess it
TV audience.
I guess it depends on the person. Like, obviously like kids and stuff, I'm never gonna go after like even like the Hassan with like, oh, he's an oligarch or whatever, it's like, I don't know. Like I try to keep things more to people's like decisions that they make, and I try to focus more on not even really policy, but like integrity and things like that. So because I see myself like criticizing on things like of that nature, I feel like obviously I'm gonna say crazy shit. I'll call you a bitch or whatever, but I always feel like the main focus is those things. So that's why when I say like I'll play it in front of your mom, like I feel like you know if I was playing a video in front of Hassan and his mom, I'd be like, well, Hassan's mom, what do you think about him with the Houthi pirates? Do you think that was acceptable, or like I would feel like we could have a conversation about it. So. But yeah, I wouldn't like attack anybody's family. I try not to do too much like physical appearance stuff. Now, if we're watching something on a stream, sometimes I lose it and I'll go a little crazy. But yeah, I think I've made fun of Hassan's little head a couple times, but he's an objectively attractive guy. He can handle it. But
I
yeah,
get
other
you.
than that, I think yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, so can you tell us a little bit about some of the political commentators you like? Are there any? Like, who do you think does a good job of it in general? Like, we know who you think does a bad job, right? There, you've
Sure,
listed
yeah.
them out. So,
Fair, fair. Yeah, it's funny. After my Hassan video took off, a lot of Destiny people have been like, they're in like my I call it my cult. So yeah, I'm a fan of Destiny. Like every time I stream, somebody asks me, like, do you like Destiny? Do you like Destiny? I'm like, yeah, I like him. Stop asking me every hour. But yeah, I think Destiny is cool. I talked to Erudite, I'm a fan of her. But like the kind of ironic thing is I'm not super into politics. Again, like I made a video about these people because I found them annoying. But if we're talking about like social issues, sure. But when it comes down to like policy, Biden, Trump, I'm not really the guy. Like I don't really give my opinion on that stuff too much because I know I haven't done the due diligence of like really, really studying it. I have my beliefs and everything like everybody else, but yeah, I'm not trying to like, debate any sort of political stuff because like I said, I haven't done the research where I would feel like good about it, if that makes sense.
no, it does. I think that's kind of commendable. I wish more people would
Thank you.
say I don't know, or hey, you know what, I'd rather not talk about it because I don't know enough about it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of incentives in this space to give the most extreme take possible or the most
Yeah,
outlandish take possible, and
yeah,
I think that really kind of plays into the problem that you speak of in your videos about Hassan, about Steven Crowder, about all these other kind of real big influencers. Um,
yeah.
I did have one issue with your most recent video, though.
Sure,
It's
please.
very small, but you talk a lot about misinformation, at least in the beginning section, right? You go on
Mm-hmm.
how about they you say one of the issues with these people is that they give a bunch of things just aren't true, say wrong things all the time. And my quibble with that is I don't think that's their fault.
Okay.
I think that it's they're doing what their audience wants them to do, right? So if they just started just being entirely factual, they'd stop having an audience, right? So it's
And
not,
that's my problem.
yeah. It's that's not like it's it's like a cart before the horse thing, and a lot of people
Sure.
make this mistake, right? They say, well, misinformation is causing a lot of problems in this space. It's causing everyone to not know the truth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's radicalizing people. But my theory here, at least, my hypothesis, is that
Mm-hmm.
it's it's actually the symptom rather than the disease. We have a disease of people who are radical, right? Who are extremists, who
Right.
want to burn the system down in a very real way.
Literally,
And
yeah.
and this is the market they want. They said, give us someone who's going to say the weirdest, most insane shit that agrees with my personal belief system right now.
Beliefs.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. That was one of the issues I had. So yeah.
Well, To that point, I think it's up to the creator to have some integrity. And if you know that you're like my thing is I don't think it's a good idea to, like I said, start with like a point and try to find things that, back that up. I think that's just a dangerous way to think. And I think you're totally right. Like, there's a market for extremism, and people just, they don't really give a shit about the truth. They just want to be told that their beliefs are right. But that's why I'm calling you people out. Like, to me, you're a sellout. If you know that you're saying things that aren't true so you can make more money, you're an asshole. So, yeah, again, it's like,
Fair.
have some fucking integrity and tell the truth. Don't just tell, oh, don't be a prisoner to your audience. And that's something that I respect about, or I used to respect about Ethan. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why in my Steven, like, I knew that if I made just another video on Hassan, it would have done better than the Steven Crowder one. Like,
Really? You
but
think that diluting it
100,
hurt you?
100%.
Really? Okay.
But I don't want to be the guy that just shits on leftists, or I don't want to be the guy that just shits on the right, because I do think there's problems with both sides. And I think there's a lot more nuance to politics than people want to admit. And if you want to just be like, super left leaning, where you're calling liberals Republicans and all this silly shit, then like, yeah, I think that's bullshit. So I'm gonna call you out. And yeah, that's basically what I was trying to do.
No, I got you. Uh, do you have any plans coming up for some scathing commentary? Anyone new? Like, so you've made like 3 on
Yeah.
Hassan, right? Like, is there anyone that has come to your attention that
Yes.
perhaps different? Can you care to give us a little
Yeah.
preview?
Yeah. 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 So on my streams, I've been doing like a lot of like FD signifier research, which has been painful. I think I'm done with Hassan. I don't want to make like 17 videos on Hassan. It's like I feel like people get it. And honestly, I feel I was gonna say I feel bad for him, but I almost did, but then he said something stupid, and I was like, I just can't. But you know, I don't want to beat a dead horse. He is a person at the end of the day, and it's become clear to me that he doesn't handle the criticism well,
What do you mean?
which is like he just seems to be very sensitive. Which again annoys me because it's like I see the way you talk about other people, and it makes my YouTube rage want to make another video making fun of him. But I feel like my point has been understood from my audience or whatever. So I don't feel the need to make the same video about the same guy over and over and over again, and it's just kind of boring. But yeah, I think FD Signifier. I'm making like a video about like him, and like I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to say. I know he's going to be a part of it. I know like race is going to be a part of it. But I'm really trying to figure everything out. It's been difficult. Um, but yeah, so that's the new video I've been working on, and I've been like streaming my research, which has been kind of fun. But yeah.
Oh yeah? Do
Mhm.
how do you like research streams? I've tried doing that. I did it a couple times. Like I did this when the Houthi stuff kind of blew up.
Sure.
Um
Yeah.
no pun intended there. But when Biden kept attacking them and stuff, I was like, okay, well, let's look into these guys. But generally,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it feels weird to have an audience while I do that. But that's just me, right?
Um, no, I think that's definitely understandable. It's a new challenge for sure. Challenge. But I again, and I think like a research stream for what I'm doing, and like, you guys reading articles is a little bit different. Like I'm just watching videos and just like talking
Oh,
shit. So
fair
it's
enough.
not that deep, you know what I mean?
Well, you
It's nothing
mentioned,
crazy.
yeah, you mentioned there was some difficulties that you were having. What do you mean? Like, is it
Uh
just lack of
well,
content or?
No, there's plenty of content, but it's just like, what do I want to say? Like every time before I make a video, I have to think like, what is the point? Like, is this necessary? What am I really trying to get across here? And yeah, so like I don't disagree with FD on everything. Like I find him to be obnoxious and pretentious and pompous and all this shit. but like some things he's right on. So it's definitely not going to be like a this guy's such a fucking idiot video. I think there's going to be a lot more nuance, and that's something I want to add to my videos. Um, but yeah, that's always been a difficult thing for me, is like figuring out exactly what I want to say here.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
There's a lot. I think that, like, for me, even when I'm talking to someone like you, for example, right?
sure.
You have a lot of content. It's not like as much as some others, but you stream, you do your research streams, you have a lot of videos, and they've done pretty well. And yeah, they're shorter. They're like 30 minutes or so. Pretty bite-sized, which I appreciate, by the way. Uh,
Yeah, sure.
but
Sure.
but even still, there comes a question like, what do you even want to talk about? Because I know for me, this is my job. And so when people
Mhm.
ask me about my job, it's like, okay, well, it's my job, right? Like, and I enjoy my job, but you know,
It's still a job.
yeah. And you mentioned like you got the questions about like what other political streamers you like, etc., how you go about doing your things, etc. So
Yeah,
again, there's only so many different types of questions on this types of content you can ask. So
sure.
I get the difficulty, okay? I get the frustration perhaps.
Yeah,
Where if I may, like, so
sure.
when you're faced with someone like Hassan or someone who with like FD Signifier who is a lot of content, a lot of content. I think Hassan streams for
Yeah.
like 10 hours a day or some shit.
Yeah.
How do you get to the nuggets? How do you get to that gold without wasting hundreds of hours of your life?
That is something I'm still struggling with. Yeah, with this one, I was really just like, okay, what are some videos that you guys would recommend watching? And they definitely had some recommendations. And I was just looking for like key ideas and key moments that I could really like think about and like combat, I guess, or maybe I'll agree here. And I feel like after watching enough of somebody's content, you kind of get an idea of like who they are and where they're coming from. So I guess I'm kind of just looking for that. But yeah, sometimes it might just be, and like you don't ever want to take anybody out of context. Which I did do in my Hassan video, and I fucked up. It wasn't like a big thing, but yeah, I did fuck that up. So I need to make sure I don't ever do that again.
What
Uh,
did you do out of curiosity? Oh,
yeah,
can I
yeah.
guess?
Huh?
Can I guess? Because I
Sure, sure, yeah, you can guess.
one of the weird parts was when he was talking about the underprivileged people in Appalachia. There was a part of the segment there where
Mhm.
I do think he was actually trying to be empathetic towards these people, right? And I don't know, you painted it as if it was disingenuous or something. So I'm curious if that was it or if it was something else.
No, no, I think somebody did bring that up though. My point was just I thought my point was like you're so like wrapped up in this ideology that you thought now was a good time to bring up white supremacy. Like that
Oh,
was
sure,
my
yeah,
point
yeah.
for that. I just thought that was weird. Like you see these white people who are obviously like not doing well and like you just have to bring up white supremacy at this exact moment. I just thought that was stupid. So that's why I brought that up. But no, it was early in the video um when he was talking doing the house tour. And I took that as what I'm trying to think of exactly what he said. But
Oh, the Sniper
basically,
Wolf one.
yes.
Okay.
I took it as him like signaling to his audience like, "Oh my god, how can somebody afford a house like this?" But in reality, he was saying that wow, this house is so big, this is what you can get in like Nevada compared to Los Angeles. So I fucked that up. Like I said, I don't think it was a huge part of the video, but I still got that wrong. So, um, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up in terms of like when I say I'm looking for a moment, obviously you don't want to just like find a little clip and then just like, uh, talk about it more than it's actually worth. But yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you did. Like, you answered it. No doubt. I guess I'm just trying to figure out like your process, if you will. Like, what from start to kind of finish, like how does a Kamal video get made? And I'm just, again, I enjoy the production values, I enjoy the takes, I enjoy
Thank
the
you.
content, and I'm just curious, like your process. That's all.
Yeah, my process is pretty goofy. It used to just be like I'll sit around just living my life, and then when I'm watching something that irritates me so much that I start like talking to myself, or I get up out of my chair, I'm like, okay, then I know I have content for a video now. I think as I have, it's gotten like my audience has grown a little bit. I have to like refine that and take it a little bit more seriously. Because people are always like, you need to make more videos, you need to make more videos, and I'm like, I get it. Yeah, I'm making like one a month here, but like it's always like 2 weeks turns into a month and a half because I always find like new things I could change. And it's funny because that Hassan video, I fucking hated it when I was first making it, and I ended up changing a lot of different things. I was working on it for a while. And I'm glad, like obviously it did pretty good. So, but yeah, I had shifted a lot of things around and I took some stuff out and I reshot some stuff. So yeah, I guess it just starts like with an idea. I always try to figure out what I want to say, and then I play around with like a big thing that I've learned actually from Mr. Beast is YouTube packaging. So I try to have the thumbnail and title and like the first like 5 seconds all kind of correlate. I want to have those in my head, and then I write it, and then I'll shoot it. I write everything. I'll write like a shitty intro and a shitty conclusion, and I'll shoot everything in one day, um, except for a couple of my videos, and then I'll edit it. Um, First, like bare bones, like okay, let's pick what clips I'm gonna use, and then after I have all that stuff, then I'll like add all my little special stuff, and then I'll do sound effects, and then I'll do music, and I'll
Okay.
go over it and over it and over it and over it, and just try to cut out as much as I can, and then I'll reshoot. And then after I look at everything and I hear myself talk, I'll usually find a conclusion and an intro that are better, and then I'll reshoot those. So yeah, it's a very convoluted, long, shitty process, but I didn't it needs refining for sure. But
Look,
that's what I do
this is
at
why
this.
I don't do video essays. It's way too much work. I can just literally wake up, turn on stream. Okay, we're just gonna talk, gang, and the production
Yeah, I
values are
get
gonna be
it.
super low. But we do what we can. Do you have any videos you regret making
That I regret making.
that you like look at it and you're like, oh man, that was kind of shitty?
Oh no, but honestly, that's the thing. I think that's a good thing. I think all my videos are shitty in a way. Like everything, I don't think my videos are good yet. Every time I look back at an old video, I fucking cringe and I'm like, "Oh god, this fucking sucks." But I think that's a good, healthy thing. Like that means I'm getting better. That means I'm figuring new things out. The only reason I've ever taken videos down was just because, like, if somebody finds my channel, I want them to look at the least cringy videos there that have at least something. But, um, yeah, I cringe at everything that I make, but I don't find that to be a bad thing. I think a lot of like creative people do. I know like 𝕵𝖎 clearly does that, but I don't know. I view it differently than some people, I guess, because
No, it's
I just think it means you're growing.
look, I write short stories and stuff.
Oh,
I
cool.
get I get that. There there's
I
a
feel a butt
duality
coming.
with creativity. Uh,
Yeah,
at least when I first do a thing, if it's hot off the press, I'm like,
yeah,
this is great. This is the best thing I've ever done. This is gonna change the world. This is amazing. I'm gonna be a god, right? Because of this, I'm gonna be famous forever. My it will echo throughout eternity. And then
yeah.
a week later, 2 weeks later, I go back and I look at it and I'm like, this is shit. I'm going to delete this. This is the worst thing
Really?
anyone's ever written. I hate it. I hate it so much. But that's just me, right? So it's kind of like this. I have the love-hate relationship with my work, right?
Yeah,
Even my streams, right? Like when a stream gets done, I'm like, man, that went usually sometimes it just goes to shit right away, right?
yeah.
But uh
Sure. Been
I'm
there. Been there.
yeah, but I'm like, okay, no, that was good. I'm really happy with that content. And then I'll look at it 2 weeks later and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? What was going on in my head when I was looking at this? So no, I get it. I get the thinking
Yeah.
everything you do is shit thing, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when I'm done, like for me, it's just like, is this good enough for people to see? I never think anything I do is amazing. Not yet. I hope to get to that point. I think I will. But like in terms of YouTube, right? Because I want to do other things as well. But I would say my videos are at like a 2 out of 10 in terms of where I know I can take them. But I think I just try to add something different every time, and then in a year or two, I'll be where I want to be. But yeah.
Fair enough. Speaking of that, like, who do you look up to when it comes to making YouTube videos? Who do you think does a 10 out of 10 video?
Man, you're gonna get me in trouble. I don't know. It's funny, like since I started making videos like this, I don't really watch commentary YouTubers anymore.
Mm.
Not really. I'll watch like some Turkey Tom from time to time. I used to like watch Drew Gooden videos all the time. I still think he's hilarious.
Okay.
But I would definitely say they're a little bit different than what I do, of course.
Sure,
But I
sure.
haven't watched him in a while, like since I started making these videos. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people that like whose careers I've learned from in terms of YouTube, but yeah, I don't know. That are more similar to mine. I don't really watch videos that are
Oh,
similar to mine like that.
it's
Oh
fine.
wait, King of what's his name? I think his name is King of Nothing or King of something. I think he makes really great videos. I need to look up
King of
his freaking
nothing or
name.
king of something. We're not sure which, gang, but we'll find it
Fuck,
out.
it's
He'll
King
figure it
of
out.
something. Fuck. Let me look it up. My bad. I want to give him his proper respect. But please go ahead if you have
No,
a
it's
King
fine.
of
I'm just
Nothing.
we're all waiting with the bated breath here, right? Gang, and if well, while you're doing that, gang, I know it's Sunday. I know, again, none of you thought I was going to stream today because I didn't advertise this properly, but that's okay. Gang, if you're liking this content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is riveting conversation, I'm sure. But no, it'll be fun, and thank you for being here, gang. So, hello. Um, yeah, I don't know, like, I get what you say about not watching people who do the same thing that you do. Like, people ask me who I watch, and to be frank with you, if I wasn't in this space, I wouldn't watch streamers, right? I'm not a
Yeah,
but that's the same thing with sports and things like that. I enjoy playing different sports, right? Volleyball, bowling,
sure.
etc. But I don't enjoy watching them. And that's the thing. Like, if I can't participate, yeah, it's not as
It's not
fun
for
for
you.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get
Oh,
that. And it was King of Nothing to be fair.
King of
I mean
Nothing.
to
What's he do? I'm not familiar.
it's kind of like similar to me. He'll make videos on Hassan and other content creators. I think his videos are really good though. He doesn't have his face in them, but yeah.
I don't know. For some people that makes the video better. I don't know. I like to see people's reactions personally.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
I'm
me too.
watching something, I like to see how they are responding to what they're watching or what they're talking about. It adds flavor. Um, when it comes to other things outside of YouTube, because you mentioned you had other passions and other things that you wanted to accomplish. Care to share a
Mhm.
couple of those? Like, what are you into outside of when Kamal's not making YouTube videos? Where can you find Kamal?
What's he doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, right now I've just been fucking working a shitty job and just doing YouTube. When I'm at the point where I'm just doing YouTube, I want to keep adding like one YouTube and one other thing. So I'm gonna be doing like comedy classes and like writing classes and acting. Eventually, I want to start like doing short films and then like low budget like feature films like down the line. That's where I see things going in like 10 years.
You got a
Um,
script in your head. You got an idea bubbling
I
around.
have bits of ideas, but no, I'm gonna actually get into script writing soon though. Um, but yeah, I just want to keep being able to push myself creatively, and yeah. But right now, we're focused on YouTube for sure.
Well, I mean, you're doing a great job. Bang up job on that, right?
I appreciate it.
Much better than most people. Can I also ask, right? Like, cause you talked
Please.
about how you weren't very political and things like that.
Not really.
You are you American? out of curiosity?
Yes, sir. And it's racist that you asked me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I just have so many Canadians in my audience. I'm never sure. I've been burned before. The Canadian
Really?
menace is really hard to tell. Okay, they
Yeah, they're
look
all
like
in our shit.
us.
It's weird, right?
I don't
Like, back
understand
up.
it. Indeed.
Focus on your own stuff. No, I'm just
We
kidding.
talk about building
Um,
the wall, right? Like the northern wall, you can probably sell me on. But
yeah,
let's
I get it.
the reason I asked that, right? Like the election's coming up. I know you're not political, but I'm very curious.
Please,
Do
please
you
ask
vote?
away. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think with the last Trump or Biden one, I couldn't. I think I threw it away. I think I gave it to like, I don't know, some random person or some shit. But I just didn't really love either of them, to be fair.
Well, it's
Hopefully that doesn't
happening
upset
again.
anybody.
It's
I know,
happening again.
round
What
two. I don't
do
know.
you, do you
I'm not
still?
gonna vote for Trump, but like, oh God, fucking Biden looks like he can barely get a sentence together. But I don't know, cause my family's like very political. Like on my dad's side, they're very like my grandparents are very like Republican,
Really?
which is kind of
Okay.
funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'll talk with them about shit all the time. They're clearly big Trump people. Um, but yeah, it's weird like their perception of reality. Like they'll compare like when Trump was president to now, and they think like everything was just fucking awesome when Trump was president and everything is just like awful now, which is in my opinion not the case at all. So it's like if I'm gonna vote for Biden, I guess it would make sense, but like holy fuck, just like from a personal standpoint, I see somebody who, doesn't look like they can move or speak English. It's like, damn, that's kind of crazy. But I think things are better now, so I guess it makes sense. And Trump is fucking insane, so I don't know.
I
Kind of
mean, look,
depressing.
I don't know is a fair answer. I mean, I obviously have my preferred candidate. I think that look, zombie Biden is better than Trump any day of the week. And in fact,
That's
well,
a fair
I
argument.
want to sell you on this. I want to sell you
Please.
on the zombie Biden, right? I don't think that's a bug. I think that's a feature. Okay? I think that's a
Wow.
pro. Okay?
Okay, please enlighten me.
Sure. So, Trump with Trump and a lot of other politicians, not just Trump, right? They have a will of their own, okay? Right? They
Hmm.
sometimes get a little uppity, right? They
Hmm.
act out. They have this thing conscious in the back of their mind, their own preconceived notions. And
Yeah,
so despite
ego.
all their handlers, despite the will of the people, they'll just do whatever, right? And go crazy
Sure.
with it. Biden Biden ain't gonna
Incapable.
do that. You don't have to
That's true.
worry about that. You don't have to worry about him going off, right? So
True.
basically, he's our puppet. We can make him dance on our strings. The voters, us, we can do that, right?
Okay, my conspiracy brain has a theory or a
What's your theory?
question.
Oh, question. Go ahead.
Is he our puppet or is he someone else's puppet?
When you say someone else, what do you mean?
I don't know.
Well, whoever that someone else is, if it is someone else, then they're doing a bang up job, right? Things are better now, right? Economy's
I
turning
think so.
around. We're getting,
Yeah.
I think he's on foreign policy. He's the bee's knees, if you will, right?
Okay.
Ukraine on Israel Palestine. I think he's done well. So yeah, if he's someone else's puppet, whoever that is, more power to him.
What are your thoughts on the border stuff? I know that's like the big thing for the Repubs. They're always talking about the border. What do you
No,
feel about that?
it's an issue, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like that illegal immigration isn't a problem. It absolutely is, especially in states like Texas and south of the border, and like who are along the border who are just getting a flood of immigrants. However, Biden just tried to pass some of the strictest, best uh, anti-immigration laws, right? Like he wasn't building a wall or anything, but he was increasing um, deportations. He was basically making it so that there's more beds and facilities available. He was increasing the number of border patrol by I think three. Man, I don't want to quote the number because I'm sure I'll get it wrong off the top of my head,
Sure, sure.
but
But a
it was
lot.
yeah by quite a bit. Um, it was like a Republican's wet dream come true. Like they're sitting in their beds, right, sleeping, dreaming of how they can oppress minorities, and this, right, is their best
Uh-huh.
like thing that they had to offer. And
Sure.
Mike Johnson killed it in the House. It was
Why?
passed the Senate, killed in the House because well, you want to talk about theories. Uh, well, because Trump told him to. Because Trump doesn't still wants the border issue to be an issue when the election time comes.
Mm, that's your thought? Okay.
No, that's
I
what they
mean,
said. It's not
oh,
my thought.
literally?
That's what
They just admitted that?
said. Yeah, we need to kill it because it'll give Biden a W, and we can't have that.
See, and this is why I'm blackpilled on politics. I'm
Mm.
just like, just make money, and then if shit goes south, you'll have money, you can deal with it. That's my thought process. Again, don't do a lot of reading. I've been reading books that like billionaires have been recommending like this past week. It's been interesting. I've just been trying to get into their sociopathic brains and see where they're coming from.
What are some of those books? I'm just curious.
One is called 0 to 1. Another one, Sapiens. What else? I have my fucking. One was written by Scott Adams, who I just learned said that racist shit. So I didn't even realize it. I was like, oh, I like this book. This is a good book. And then I YouTube his name, and then I see the thing about black people. That was funny. But oh, here it is. Here's my fucking Kindle. Yeah, I have a whole Kindle filled with billionaire psychopath books. Life is Negotiation. This one's been interesting. Rational Optimist. What else we got? Outsiders. This one's fucking boring. But yeah, I don't know.
What have
That's
you
a
learned in your journey so far?
oh from these books. The Sapiens one was kind of interesting. I learned that there was all different sorts of not humans, but I don't know. My fucking brain, can't isn't processing right now. But all sorts of humanoid type things. I didn't know that that was a real like. I think they got like all these elves and giant shit from that. There used to be people who were just big as shit. They weren't humans, but like they're like human-esque, human-like. So
Neanderthals you
I
talk about?
no, there's different ones. There's Neanderthals too, but there was like a shit ton of them. I didn't know that. I thought there was just humans and Neanderthals, but there was like fucking 15 different versions of people. And some died out, and they have theories of why they died out, and they think it might be related to communication, or maybe it was war, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I don't know. I learned all this weird shit. But yeah, one thing that kind of goes into my political stuff, and this is a thing that I might be in the FD signifier video. One thing I do think that is good that I learned from the billionaire psychopaths is just accountability. And that's another thing that when it comes to like leftist stuff that they don't really seem to be on board with that.
What do
That
you
kind of
what do you
bothers me.
mean? Can you elaborate on a little bit on that?
Sure,
Because
sure.
so
So
just out of like my initial impression is like billionaires and accountability. What? Right? Like
fair, fair.
what? Go on though,
Okay,
please.
so I'll give an example. So like Charlie Munger, who just died, right? He was partners with Warren Buffett, old as shit, billionaire, blah blah blah. Apparently very philanthropic. I'm not going to be like, we all need to be billionaires, guys, and these guys are great people. My thing is like, okay, clearly you have some shit figured out. So what can I learn from you? And his thing was, you need to be radically accountable to everything. Everything is your fault because if you say it's not your fault, then you don't have the power to fix it.
Mm. So
You're
like an
saying like,
internalized locus of control, like a kind of a stoicism-ish kind of position where
yeah,
um
and he gets real extreme with it. He's like, if you lose children, you shouldn't complain. Like he's like that, and he has lost a child. So I
damn.
mean, yeah, he's like real crazy with it. I'm not gonna tell anybody to do that, but yeah. So I just feel like that's the only way you can do things for yourself. But again, like when I'm listening to FD Signifier, I kind of get what he's saying a little bit. So it's like I can't be. I don't know. I still try to stay open minded.
No, I
What I'm
get
trying to
that.
say.
And when it comes to like I'm very left leaning outside of the internet. To
Okay.
internet
Yeah.
leftists, I'm a Nazi enabler, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Most of
don't
us are. Most of us are.
don't agree with them on all their 387 plot points that they have out. But
Exactly.
I think that like the problem is that if you were to come to me for advice, right?
Sure.
And you were like, "Hey, I'm having a hard time. Um I can't afford my rent. There's a lot of things going on in my life that that feel out of my control. My advice to you would be
Hmm.
very bootstraps oriented. Be like, okay, well,
Sure.
just work harder, do better, get out there, grind more, etc. But like when
Yeah.
I'm in the voting booth, when I'm trying to make legislation or policy decisions for a wide swath, I have a very different mindset, right?
And I
Because
think that's fair.
yeah.
I
Um
think that's fair.
because again, while yes, we can recognize that there are issues systemically in a lot of places, policing, etc., right? That are real. You still got to deal with reality how it is. We can't just
Yeah.
wish it away. We can't just wish that it was easier for us, right? We have to just
Yeah.
deal with it. We have to buck up, Buttercup, basically. And so I
Yeah.
get you. I get you on that. Um, yeah, but yeah, blaming someone for losing their own kid, I don't know. I don't know about that one. It's a
Well,
lot.
yeah, he didn't say you need to take accountability, but another thing he was saying is like don't complain. He's like you should never ever complain. And that was his example. Even if you lose a child, he's like you shouldn't complain.
Oh, that's the royal family in Britain had a similar
See,
motto.
these
Never
sociopaths,
complain
they all do that, yeah.
and never explain is their motto. Never complain and
Oh,
never explain.
like
Just
explain yourself to
yeah,
somebody?
why?
Hmm.
Especially if you're the fucking king. I mean, like, yeah, why
Yeah,
are you
yeah, you
explaining?
really didn't have to explain shit. Yeah, that makes a little I don't know if we can absorb that, but yeah. Okay.
Well, once you become a
Interesting.
billionaire, it becomes much more easy to put that into practice, I'm sure. And the more power you get, the more you can just ignore
Other people.
criticisms, unfortunately, which is part of the problem, right? Um,
Yeah, exactly. And yeah.
speaking of criticisms, and I want to kind of bring this back to your content, right? You must have
Please.
gotten a lot of criticisms.
Yeah, all the time.
Can you yeah, care to share some of your favorites?
Oh God, I really don't pay that too much attention. But fuck. I don't know. It's like earlier on I would really look for valid criticism, but after I hear the same shit like over and over and over again, I stopped giving them so much attention. But yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was talking to my friend about this the other day. And he's like, "Do you ever get like negative comments?" And I'm like, "Yeah." All the time. I don't give a fuck. I hear like so many, and again, I don't want to like. I know my channel's like a million times smaller than a lot of these people, but when content creators are like, "Oh my god, my mental health, like I gotta," I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't care. It does not affect me at all. I just don't give a fuck. One thing I realized is that if your video's for everybody, then it's for nobody, and it should piss some people off. And if yeah, so I just kind of accepted that. But I also keep in mind I don't want to become fucking Hassan and be like, oh well, this guy just hates me because he's a fucking right wing, blah blah blah. So I still want to look for the validity in some criticism. Um, but yeah. I like one thing I got was, oh, you just think communism means poverty, bro. And I'm like, I didn't even fucking say that. After I see that for the 50th time, I've been losing faith a little bit. I think one thing I think was valid, actually. I just kind of came to this realization yesterday. Uh in my fuck, the one where I make fun of leftists and I make fun of them for being smug. I got comments saying that I'm smug, and I'm like, I don't think I'm smug. I think I can be a dick. I can be a little bit aggressive. But I will say I think there was one moment where I may have been a little bit smug, where I was like, I think I said FD can teach you some shit, but like Noah Samsey will never learn from. I'm like, okay, if they saw that, that's kind of smug a little bit, I guess. So I'm always like looking to see how I can improve, but yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
hot take.
sorry.
Sometimes it's okay to be smug. Sometimes you should be smug. Sometimes they need to learn. Okay,
Yeah.
these
I just maybe this might be like a me thing, but I just feel like the word smug comes with a little bit of like not even arrogance, but like cowardice. Because it's like you're not
cowardice. That's a
fully,
weird way.
yeah, yeah. I feel like you're not fully saying what you want to say. You're like, you're calling them a dumbass kind of, but with like a hint of pussy to it. So I don't like the term smug.
Oh,
I think
that's
you can be aggressive or arrogant,
sure.
but like smug, I just don't like the term smug. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'm just using a different like because words are weird, right? Because we all have
Exactly.
we use them in different ways. When I think of smug, I think of someone who's like arrogant, cocky, and just shows it, right? It's just like doesn't hold back, right? And it's just kind of like condescending. Uh what I don't think about though is cowardice. In fact, smug is usually what you are before you get yourself in real big trouble, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Overconfidence, over condescending. I don't mind smug. I very much mind smug and wrong, right?
Yeah, then
That
you really look like an
is
asshole. You look like an
that
idiot.
is insufferable to me, right? When someone
Mm.
who comes in is like, oh, well, if you've read Karl Marx's on Das Kapital, right, then you would know that the Jews are X, Y, and Z, and you're like, what are you talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you might be onto something. Maybe I'm just thinking of smug in a wrong way. I don't know. But that's just how I've thought about it.
mm.
But I could be wrong. I don't
It
know.
sounds like what it sounds like you're saying to me is passive aggressive, right? That pussy ass kind of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
I've
know,
always thought smug and passive aggressive were kind of intertwined, but maybe they're not. Maybe I
hey,
just have some
look,
weird bias.
I've been wrong about words before. I'll be wrong about words again. Like for real, like especially pronouncing words, I am the worst. Growing up, getting most of my linguistics from reading, right?
Mm,
I never really learned how to pronounce some words, and so I would go even in my 20s. I remember in college, and I got up and I started reading something and talk about something, and it was military related, and I used the word colonel uh instead of colonel because that's
oh,
how it's
sure,
spelled.
yeah.
It's COLONEL and
Yeah,
stuff.
why is there no R's? That's kind of on them though, to be fair to you.
I thought so too, but everyone looked at me like I was crazy, and I'm like, no, it's colonel. Why would it be colonel? Why would it ever be pronounced colonel? And I had
Pretentious
a
ass
big
language.
argument. So
Yeah, yeah, I remember learning that too. But yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I don't know.
uh,
Yeah, words are weird. Words are weird.
words are weird. What words would you have for aspiring content creators out there? People who are like, I want to make videos too, just like Kamal, my hero. What would you tell
First
them?
off, don't ever let me be your fucking hero, please. Uh, Okay, this is what I'll tell people who want to start YouTube stuff because people do ask me that shit a lot. One, I think Beast gives really good advice of whether you think he's cringe or not. He gives a fuck ton of free, really great advice. I think one of those really good pieces of advice is just try to don't worry about making your video amazing. Just try to like make a video and then on the next video try to add something new, like or improve one thing in every video. Uh, I th- One thing that really helped me is figuring out your audience and working backwards. That's how a lot of people grow fast. Um, so at first I would just make videos about shit that was interesting to me, but the way YouTube works, if I make a video about dogs and then I make a video about fucking skateboards, if the video on dogs does really well and then they're going to show the next video about skateboards to everybody who loved your dog video. And those people don't give a fuck about you, they give a fuck about dogs. So you need to make something correlated. You need to figure out like who your audience is and how you can make videos for the audience while being able to stay true to yourself. I think that's like how you kill this YouTube
Yeah,
shit.
it sounds though like it's kind of why we get a lot of extremist content, right?
It
Because
is.
that does sound
It
suspiciously
works. It
right.
works. And I talked about that in my YouTube video about why YouTube's not fun anymore. But I think it's a crutch. I think it can be a crutch. Like I think like sorry to pick on Noah here, but I think like video or channels like him blow up so fast because of that. Like he's speaking to a very like left leaning audience and all his videos are for the same people. But I don't think that means your videos are good. So it's a lot easier for a channel like that to blow up, but I think it caps you creatively and just intellectually. So I think like you need to do that, but make the audience broad. It doesn't have to be about something political. It could be about movies. It could be about, like I said, skateboards or whatever the fuck. I think it should be like that. But yeah, doing it like ideologically or at least politically, I think is a bad way to go about that. And that's why I give Destiny a lot of credit actually. Because obviously he's like pretty left leaning, but he still fucks with guns. He's not going to be like super left on every single thing.
No,
And I think that's a good thing.
I think more people should be like that.
Me too.
I only got a couple more questions. I won't keep you too long today. Uh,
Sure, man.
One of my last ones here is, so we talk a lot about extremism online. Have you
Mhm.
met
Sorry, it's a
any?
train.
Hmm?
I don't know if you can hear the
I
train or
can't
not.
hear a
Sorry.
train or not. I'm like, what train, or is your mom in the next room? I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
um, that's a joke. But anyway, when it comes, yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
It's okay. It's okay. We like a little levity in our humor. Speaking
Wow,
of,
okay.
did you hear about that Aaron Bushnell guy?
No.
Guy who set himself on fire?
Okay, yes. I've heard, please inform me. I've heard a little bit, bits and pieces, but I don't fully understand what the hell's going on. Like I told you, I'm not super political, so please fill me in.
Interesting. Well, that's a data point. You've heard of him, but you know nothing about him. Okay. So he was a service member. He was in the Air Force, and I think a week
Okay.
ago, maybe a little less, he lit himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington. I believe it was Washington, and
Gotcha.
shouted "Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!" until he burned to death. There's a lot of
Fuck.
people celebrating that online. There's a lot of people condemning it and
Right.
mocking it online. There's a lot of different reactions to this. I'm and the reason I bring this up is in the kind of extremist thing is
Mhm.
he was very involved in a lot of Reddits and a lot of communities that were very, very, very extremist, left leaning. So
Sure.
I'm curious, in your opinion, is there any correlation there? Is it How responsible do you hold these extremist kind of ideologies for what this man did?
That's a good question. Um, hmm.
I mean, if at all, right? I mean, like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a great question, and it's partially why I make the types of videos that I make. Obviously, I think when somebody does some shit like this, you're gonna have like a lot of mental illness involved, in my opinion, my very unprofessional opinion. But fuck. And he was American, right?
yep, U.S. Air Force.
Damn,
Mhm.
that's wild. I don't know. I mean,
Do you think this kind of thing has an impact, right? Do you think it'll
yeah,
change anything?
I think it definitely has an impact. I think it just gives a place for somebody like that to go. And I think it can take you from like, maybe he was at like a 4 to a 10. But it's like you and I both know those places aren't ever going anywhere. Um, so it's tough. It's like I can't put this on a fucking Hassan Piker if he was the biggest Hassan fan, but I am looking at Hassan like, yes, this is the type of shit that your content can do to people. Um, but it's not like I don't think that happens if that guy doesn't have a lot of other fucked up shit going on in his life. So I don't know. It's a very like nuanced question. It's kind of tough for me to answer. I can't be like, well, it's 35%, the internet's fault. Um,
Why did I bring you if you can't answer my goddamn questions?
I'm
Okay, no,
so
I'm
sorry. I
it's fine.
apologize. But yeah, they do hold some accountability for that or some sort of responsibility. But it's like again, they're never gonna go anywhere. And the leftists will blame capitalism. And I guess I kind of get it, but yeah, it's just a fucked up situation.
Um, Well, do you mind if I bring 𝕵𝖎𝖎 in to kind of join us in the discussion? She's backstage.
Please
She did
bring
you
in
and
anybody.
okay. Just wanted to make sure that it was okay with you. Sometimes it's not,
Yeah,
right? And I get it, right? But let me bring her in
I
and see what
just
she has to say.
there's no one I will never talk to. Well,
No
that's
one?
probably not true.
Not
That's
one
probably not.
person?
That's
Okay,
probably not true. Within reason.
Okay.
Within reason.
Okay. 𝕵𝖎𝖎, hi. You gotta mute the
Hey,
stream. You
hey,
gotta
wait,
mute the
I'm
stream.
so sorry. I need one more second to set up. I will be done in 30 seconds. Apologies.
Okay, I'll move you backstage for 30 seconds.
Wow, how rude. He didn't even ask if she was ready. What a
She
piece of
DM'd
shit.
me saying, "Hey, I'm backstage. Can I come in?" I figured if
Blame
you're
the woman.
backstage, you're ready to
Blame
come
the
in.
victim. Blame the victim.
Ugh,
That's fine.
I
See, you did
know.
it to me too. I was still getting my lights together. No accountability.
Well, let that
It
be a
is what it is.
lesson. You guys are now cautionary tales to the rest of my audience. If you are jumping backstage, I'm gonna pull you
That
in.
means you're ready.
I'll do.
Got it.
I do call-in shows every once in a while, right? Where I just let my audience call
Yeah,
in. On the
no,
oh, go on.
my bad. I keep fucking interrupting you. I'm sorry. I
No,
was
it's
just
fine.
gonna say I know you messaged me about that, so
Oh yeah. I wanted to add to know if like that's why I didn't call you directly instead we're doing it in my Discord. But no. What I'm saying though is that on the bigger nights, like sometimes I'll have a full backstage where I have like 10 or 12 people waiting.
okay.
Sometimes I'll pull people in and they're like, "No, send me back. I was having a great conversation backstage." Like I was just talking, right? I'm like, "What are you doing?
Okay.
What are you doing back there
And why the
if
fuck
you're
are
not
you
gonna
here?
talk, right?" Like,
Yeah, exactly.
oh man, it's frustrating. But maybe 𝕵𝖎𝖎 will be ready now. I think we've ranted for.
She said 30 seconds, so it's kind of on her,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So sorry about that. I was so excited when I heard you're going to be a guest tonight, Kamal. I am such a huge fan of
Oh
your
shit! Thank you.
work. No, I mean it. It is a breath of fresh air. You obviously had those videos critiquing Hassan that blew up, and disclosure, I'm pretty good friends with Cenk. I'm always a little hesitant to critique his nephew, but
Fair.
I think you are such an important voice on our side. I mean that sincerely. I love the video where you're kind of comparing Hassan and Crowder. Just really, really great work, and I can't wait to see where your career goes. I
Oh
wanted
shit!
to ask
Thank
you.
you.
I mean it. So I've watched a lot of your videos, and what I've always wanted to ask you is. I find it so fascinating that you used to be an incel or, more of a men's rights activist kind of guy,
Wait, did
right?
he?
And how you kind of broke yourself out of that. Or do I have that wrong?
Were you an
No,
incel?
I wouldn't go full on incel.
Yeah,
I think I had like like a slight red pill phase.
yeah.
Where I was
Right, I
like,
guess those two things are like synonymous in my
yeah,
mind. I
that's fair. That's
apologize
fair.
if that's insulting.
No,
That's not my intention at all.
don't
Yeah.
apologize at all. It was just funny to me. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, I would say like take Sneeko's red pill, and like
Mhm.
I was like 30% of that, maybe 20% of that.
Oh my goodness.
Um, yeah, maybe 15.
So what kind of woke you up out of that? Because for me, as like a Democratic operative, I think
Mhm,
there's such a huge crisis right now where I don't think the
sure.
Democratic Party is speaking to men and men's issues
Yeah,
enough.
probably not.
And I think Destiny is really good at kind of waking people like that up. What kind of was your journey? I've always wanted to ask you that.
Let me think. I don't know. I know how I got into it. You know, it's like you're talking you're like a little bit socially inept. You're talking to a girl who's shitty, and then she's like
Many such cases, but go on.
and then you like look for answers, then you're like, oh, this guy seems to have answers, and then I guess over time I realized, oh, this is horrible advice that's actually making me way more insecure and putting a bunch of bullshit that's not real into my head. I don't know exactly how I found that out. I just remember that when I did find that out, I was like, oh, I need to make fun of these people because they are like a detriment to the world. So I made some videos making fun of red pill stuff. But yeah, that's a good question. How did I figure out that it was all bullshit? I think after a time I realized I was like, oh, well, it seemed like this girl liked me, but when I did the red pill shit, she stopped talking to me. So clearly this is not working. I think after that happened, like, once or twice, I was like, yeah, this is not the answer.
I mean, if you watch that video, like your advice, I wish I could broadcast it into the minds of half of them that I interact with. It's like, talk to her like she's a person. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty
really,
obvious shit, but it's like when you're in that mind space, it's like, what? What?
uh,
Yeah, I don't know. It's
so,
weird.
like, for your career from here, like, one of the worries I have, like, for you, because I love your stuff, is that, I hope that you will go deeper on some of this stuff. Like, obviously, I love videos trashing people like, Steven Crowder, right? Like, that is
Sure.
a good time for me. And I don't, like, you did tons of work on that great video. I watched it twice. But I
Thank
worry
you.
about your channel because there's so many like drama things out there and just
Yeah.
hitting the latest jerk that's popping off. It's a formula, and I think you've got so much more to say. So I wanted to encourage you to do that today.
Yeah, Brianna, it's actually funny bringing it up because that's something that's big on my mind as well.
Hmm.
And I think with this next video I'm working on, I want to talk about things that are, just broader, and just kind of challenge myself mentally to talk about, more complex topics. And yeah, so that's why this next like video I'm talking about like FD Signifier and like Dr. Umar and people like that, and like
Hmm.
how I think viewing everything through like a racial lens can be like a bit dangerous.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm like really thinking about like how do I view race? How important is it to me? And I went on stream and I had some of my fellow black friends on, and I was showing my friend FD and just getting his thoughts on it. And we were just talking about like racial stuff, and thought that was interesting. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to be like the whoever's getting shit on, let's make a video about that. That's why I didn't do any Vosh stuff. Like I'll talk about it on stream for fun, but I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I saw part of that stream. I thought it was really really thoughtful stuff. And I've always wanted to ask you, like your politics, obviously, like just cards on the table. I am more progressive, though I try to be thoughtful about it. But you
Mm.
come from like your moderate politics from like a really thoughtful place. And like, has that always been your MO? Because for me, it's been a lot more of a journey where I did find myself kind of in the middle of like hyper progressivism. And then as
Mhm.
it just got more and more toxic and crazier, it was like, oh, I'm kind of on a team that's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I should back off a bit. For you, did you have a journey like that where your politics always kind of where they are today? How did you get your perspective?
You know what's funny? I think it's because my parents aren't together, but my dad's parents have always been like super Republican, and then my mom's side's been always pretty liberal.
Hmm.
So I think I've always been somewhat in the middle. Like I would consider myself a pretty liberal guy. Free healthcare, legalized drugs. I definitely think people need help, but a lot of things like that. But yeah, I think with them, I've always been able to see both sides from like an empathetic lens. Like
Hmm.
it'd be pretty easy for me if I was just like had my mom's side to view like black Republicans as this like disgusting, like self-hating people. But when I listen to my grandparents, like I get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
They're from the lens of, look, I went through real shit, and I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. So when I hear like Democrats saying, "Oh, it's so hard to be black," they get fucking upset, and I'm like, I get that. Um, that's a perspective I can understand.
Yeah.
I don't agree with them all the
Uh,
time, but I get it.
Can I ask, just because you mentioned you can kind of understand like the different sorts of view, what would you consider your most like left leaning kind of take on life, on politics, on things like that, and what would you consider
Oh
your most
wow.
right leaning like take on politics and things like that? I'm just curious.
I'm guessing you're talking to me.
Yes, I
Okay.
I could just DM Woo anytime, right? And she'll talk my ear off,
Right.
and I'll mute and you know.
I'm messing with you. That's a good question. What's my most left leaning?
And right. So like I'm just trying to
Yeah,
get like
yeah.
the two poles, right?
I don't know. If you can ask me whatever and I'll tell you, but off the top of my head, I don't know. Like,
Okay, well, you asked me about immigration and the border and things like that. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just curious.
no, I'm kidding. Like, I don't. Yeah, like when we're watching the things on New York, it does seem a little crazy. But again, like I haven't done the exact research, so I don't know if all this shit is true. But just like bringing in people with no plan and you're shutting down schools and then you're giving people like 10 grand, it's like that doesn't and but you don't allow them to work and like contribute. That like doesn't seem to be the best way to go about things. Um, I'm in like I believe in a border, but I also believe like maybe we shouldn't make it like fucking impossible for people to get to this country. So yeah, I guess that's my stance on it. If I answered that, I don't know.
Very reasonable stance, honestly, right? Like so.
What? Have a border? That's crazy, man. No, I want to ask you, like you hinted this a lot in your videos that you're a little suspicious of trans rights, and I like what
Oh wow.
specifically do you like? Yeah, yeah. So
This is
Carson's
what I was
table.
expecting. Please ask
I
ask
I
Oh,
away.
have
you were
tons
expecting me to
of
just
I
grill
have
you? Okay,
look,
fair
I
enough.
have tons of critique too. So
Okay.
like don't feel like you're on the
The
spot.
chopping
But
block.
yeah, but like I wanted to ask you, where kind of like you do the kind of vague thing where you're like, yeah, I'm just not on board with like we can't ask questions. So like what do you have questions about, or what are your reservations? I guess I would ask.
Well, I don't know if I've said in my videos I have reservations about trans rights. I think the only time I bring up trans people is when I know a lot of like leftists try to use that as an attack. They're like, "Oh, you're transphobic," and I try to
Right.
bring that up in a comedic way because I'll be talking about like something that has nothing to do with trans people, and they'll say you're transphobic. Um, so I know that people use that as like a buzzword to try to cancel people the same way they'll bring up racism or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I have any. I mean, I would say if I'm trying to think of something controversial, uh I
Like
don't know
if
if
you
like
don't want
drag
trans
queens in
people going
schools is
after you,
like
don't feel like you have to.
no,
So
I don't think you're going after me at all. I'm
I'm
literally
enjoying
just
credit.
trying to just be as honest as I can. But
Yeah.
I would say maybe like the drag queens in schools thing isn't like
Yeah.
100% necessary. It seems like a weird hill to die on.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think like trans people are trying to groom your kids but I don't believe that. Um it's funny. I want to somebody I want to get on stream is she's like a friend of my mom's, but she's she like I grew up with her
Mhm.
and I knew her like before she transitioned and after, and I just knew her
Oh,
as like
wow.
my mom's friend that I used to play Spider-Man 2 with. But I haven't seen her since I was a kid, but my mom told me that now she's like a Satanist, so now she's like a trans Satanist. So I wanted to get her on stream and just ask her all these questions. But I don't yeah, so
Yo, if you need
I
a
thought that'd be
trans
interesting.
Satanist, I can reach out. Okay, there's a lot of.
Honestly, if either of you know any trans Satanists, I'm trying to talk to some, please.
Okay, we'll
Well,
send them
I
your
have
way.
questions.
I think this is why I really identify with your work because and maybe forgive me if I'm misinterpreting it, but I feel like as you're talking about this, there's a real like I grew up in a really conservative household, which I think is a really big advantage for me as someone that works in democratic politics in the sense
Sure.
that I really believe in like the self-determination aspects of that kind of mindset growing up. Like you are
Yeah.
in charge of your destiny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, we can criticize systems. These things are effed up, but ultimately you have your own life. And if you're waiting for utopia, you're going to be disappointed. And I feel like when you talk about race, it's very rooted in that. And I think a lesson that for LGBT people that I feel like we've lost as compared to my generation is I do think the average LGBT person 20 years ago understood the forces that we were fighting and kind of felt a real responsibility to make a life, make friends, deal with like the trauma of your childhood. You
Sure.
can't always attribute all these things to systems. And I
Yeah.
think what we see on Twitter sometimes is a really like the compassionate part of me is I see people that are in pain and I understand it. I recognize that pain. I've lived that pain. But
Yeah.
what I want to tell them is like, go deal with your pain because you're taking it out. Like you're looking for answers that are never going to exist in your lifetime. Does that kind of make sense? I think that's kind of the
Yeah, that's
same.
exactly how I feel. And
Yeah,
it's for me it's frustrating when people will attack other people for trying to, preach what you're saying, like you should
yeah,
be accountable. They'll take it as like, "Oh, well then you're saying that there's no other issues." And it's like there are, but it's like what are you going to do about it?
that's right.
We talked about this a little before you came in, Brianna. It's the whole um you have to deal with reality as it is. You
That's
can't
right.
Yeah.
just wish these problems away. You can't wish these things away. And if there are things that you can do right now, today, to better your life, right, that are kind of bootstrapsy, why not do them, right? Why would you, like, one of the things, okay, excuse me, this is slightly off topic, but it bothered me, and I wanted to talk about it, okay? You
Please.
guys familiar with Oxfam at all, right? In
Yep.
the
No idea what
recent
that
tweet
is.
they did about
Oh, this is
how,
so bad.
yeah, so Biden is airdropping aid into Gaza right
Got it.
now, like aid, like food and shit like that. I'm assuming medicine and other things. Um, they're against it because they feel like that's going to be a band-aid and we'll ignore the real problems. So they want to fix the whole
Mm,
issue systemically rather than and they think that doing anything less
yeah.
than entirely what they want will just push the problem back. And I find that so,
Insane.
yes, but it's so indicative of a certain mindset
Yes, I
on the
agree.
left especially, right?
I
That
agree.
is, we can't do anything because doing anything is just covering up the problem. It's like why they get mad at Mr. Beast when he cured 1,000 blind people and they were all
Mhm.
very upset because, oh, why are you doing that? The system will never get fixed unless these people suffer enough. And once they suffer enough, then they'll rise up and
Yeah.
do our bloody fucking revolution. Sorry, rant over. Anyway.
No, it's dead
No,
on.
yeah, I completely agree with you. It's so frustrating. It's like, so you'd really rather him not help people than help people? Like, are you fucking crazy? Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think it's indicative of how they see, the Palestinians. They're not, their motivation is not addressing the hunger, which is very real. It's using the Palestinian civilians caught in the crossfire as a political bludgeon, basically.
Yeah.
Just kind of similar to what Hamas does. I think it's a really unfortunate mindset. Yeah, we've got to get past this. I really think we've got to get past this idea in politics that, anything sort of utopia is like failure.
Mhm.
If you look at the history of the United States, we've gotten a lot of things done, and it's gotten a lot better by just taking singles all day long, just getting out there, people doing what they can to push it just a little bit further towards the light. And
Yeah.
it's what you really see when you're an operative and you're working with elected officials. I mean, there's a reality it's very challenging to work past. So I feel like social media has really trained people to be utopian and to see voting as like a reflection of who you are when it's really a mundane like task where you're choosing between policy preferences. And I just think it's short circuiting our whole democracy.
Yeah, I feel that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't mean this to be like a super long stream, but if you have more
Yeah.
questions, please.
Oh,
And if you needed to, if
This
you need to bounce,
I'm
no. I this is a dream. I've
well,
nothing to talk.
I'm
Yeah.
mainly giving that to,
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes.
I was just gonna say, can I just use the restroom real quick and I'll be right back.
yeah.
But other than that, this doesn't feel
No,
long.
you
It's a pleasure to
must.
speak to
Sure,
both of
you
you.
must stay. No bathroom breaks.
Yes,
Okay, no.
teacher, can I pee please? Okay, thank you. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
But yeah, it's a pleasant surprise, Brianna. How's it going?
I wanted to just pop in and say, hey, yeah. I mean, what do you think is going to happen this week? Like with the airdrops, do you think they're going to finally go through?
It's one of those things where, like, it's not enough, to be clear. They need
Yeah.
to do more, but it is something, and something is better than nothing, and it's better than what we were doing. And I think that there's always a risk of it going to like Hamas and things like that. But at this point, I think that we just need to flood the zone with ideas because it's getting to a point where it's a critical mass. So yeah, we take some risks, we do what we can, and there's nothing inherently wrong with aid to people who
Yeah.
need aid.
I was really surprised because I looked really deeply into this issue this morning, and the way this has been portrayed, it's as though like it's actually a relatively recent phenomenon. Basically, you had some police that were killed by an Israeli airstrike while escorting aid, and now as they're sorting it out, there's no one escorting the aid, which is, it's obviously slowed down shipments of food and supplies, and there's a lot of quagmire to go through and address it. So it's a really good example of how you should not get your news on all of this from activists because it is a much more complicated situation.
No, it's a problem. It's a problem. And this is another thing. Since we're complaining, okay. Since we're complaining. One of my other problems with extremists, and not just on the left, but on the right. And so the title of my stream today, okay, is you don't hate extremists enough. You think you do, but you don't, okay? But you don't. People like Hassan, people like Frogan, legendary woman of the year, gang.
Oh my
people
God.
like Tim Pool, like Steven Crowder, like Trump, for example, right? They tend to do this thing, and it's funny how similar they are. They flatten everything into simplicity, as simple as they can make it. It leaves out any complexity, any nuance, and if you bring that up, you are an enemy trying to distract from the issue.
Yeah.
It's and I don't know how to fix that. So I guess, Kamal, like since you're back and all, how do we fix this? How do we be less extreme in our politics?
I don't know. I don't think most people are. Maybe I'm just optimistic. I think the extremists are a lot smaller in numbers. They're just loud and crazy. But yeah, that's a big reason why I made my channel. Like I like the idea of having, communists in my community and super right wingers, and we can all just kind of like get along and laugh together. But yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm like, just, try to listen to the opposition, keep an open mind, like take information as unemotionally as you can. Like that's what my advice was on my last video, but it's like, how do you stop it?
Since you've been in this space, is there anything you've really kind of changed your mind on or done a 180 on? Because we talk about listening all the time, right? But I'm always curious what people actually change on, right? Like for me, it was guns and gun control. I used to be very left when it came to gun control. Like take them away, lock them up, right? We don't need guns. Second Amendment's outdated, etc. But after interacting with a lot of people in my space who had very different opinions on it, I'm sold on the idea that the Second Amendment is actually fucking based as fuck, right? It's super important and we actually need it. But yeah, that's mine. What's yours, out of curiosity?
I don't know if I have one. I don't think I have one yet. I'm open, but I don't know if I have one.
We're gonna change your mind on Biden. Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
I love it.
We talked earlier, right? He doesn't like Trump, but he thinks Biden's brain dead. So we're gonna fix you. Okay, don't worry.
Okay,
I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy.
It's not crazy, but I gave my take on why that's a pro, not a con, right? If he's a zombie, then we can control him better. Okay, we don't want him acting out, right, or acting up. We want someone that the voters are able to use like a puppet to enact our will.
I just feel like ideally, you would have a president. Like if this is the best we can do, right? We would have somebody who wouldn't act up because they're not an asshole, but can also like, give a coherent sentence. That I feel like I'm not asking for a whole lot, It's just kind of sad that these are the choices.
No, I think that's reasonable. I've got a question for you. Do you think there's really a space out there for people in the middle to have really successful platforms, just in the sense it really feels like everything is pushed to the extreme and there's no incentive to be remotely charitable to anyone. I'll give you a very specific example.
Please.
Tim Pool. I went out and I did Tim Pool's show a while back.
Mhm.
I'm sure I'll do it again. And I disagree with Tim Pool on many things. Like if you watch the clip, it's me arguing with him about electoralism aggressively for 3 hours. But I
Okay.
walked away from that really, really liking Tim Pool as a person. He's kind to his staff. Everyone there is very sweet. It's one of the most professional shooting environments I've ever done.
Right.
He has so much affection for his partner. It's very, very sweet. And we like sat there and played poker for a couple of hours, and
Oh,
it was really
nice.
meaningful. So like, this is a thing where like I disagree with Tim Pool, but anytime I've said anything that even acknowledges that side of it, you get screamed at. There's so much social pressure out there to make us hate each other. So, like, do you think there can be a successful movement for us to at least, even if we hate each other's ideas, to like hate
Mhm.
each other a little bit less?
I think so. Yeah, I hear you on the pressure to hate each other. I don't think that comes from most people. I'm nowhere near as like, politically educated as either of you, but I just think the average person, I don't think they hate the other side as much as the internet would make it seem.
Mm,
And that's why I try to normalize it on my channel as much as I can. Um, but yeah, I think now if we're talking about like, can I have a huge political platform where I talk about both sides? I think so.
mhm.
Like, I think like 𝕵𝖎𝖎 is kind of a decent example of that right now. It seems like he's like I would imagine he has fans on both sides.
Mhm.
And clearly he's incredibly popular.
He's
So
got haters on both sides too,
Sure
which I
does.
think
you're definitely going to.
is probably the better indicator, if you will, right? Like that
Oh yeah.
you're of two things, that you are kind of being middle of the road for better or worse, and
No.
two, that you're being effective, right? You don't catch flack unless you're over the target. Um, it's one of those things where I I I hope you're right, and I hope like we do have examples like 𝕵𝖎𝖎, but at least in the smaller streamer world, right? Like that I'm swimming in right now, it really doesn't feel like it, right? It really feels like, because I know that the more extreme I get, the more extreme takes I have, the more my viewership goes up, right? It just
Yeah.
does, right? I can start talking about like, if we started talking mad shit about Vosh right now, and I changed my title, I'd have 100 more viewers, like that.
I
Um,
agree.
but I don't want to do that, right? I think I've said my piece about Vosh, right? Like we already did that. I don't want to keep doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just worry that yes, if you're super big like 𝕵𝖎𝖎 is, who's had a program for what 10 plus years, okay,
Yeah.
he's been around since I've been a kid, uh, or not a kid, but in my 20s and things like that, right? And I'm an
Sure,
old
yeah.
man now, but yeah, I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong though. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right.
My only thing is yes if you're good.
Fair. Skill issues is a thing, right? Like,
Yeah, like if you suck and you depend on like extremism, then yeah, like if you want to go in the middle, then nobody's gonna give a fuck. But if your shit is good, if your content is really good, then I think people will care. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get better. Like I'm not gonna blame like, oh, the left or the right because I'm not getting views. It's like, well, maybe my video sucked. Well, maybe I need to do this, and this better. That's how I look at it.
I think you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Just keep more of it, and it's going to hit in the algorithm, and more people like me are going to see it that just want reasonable takes in the middle.
Thank you. Yeah.
I genuinely mean that. Let me ask you this: like the Democratic Party right now, there's a lot of talk with operatives because we're looking at the polls, and we're seeing, particularly with Black men, a lack of enthusiasm as far as voting for Biden and for the party
And
overall.
since
And
you're here, right?
yeah,
Since we
I
have
will
one,
represent all black men.
sure.
Yes.
I will ask you to do that. No, but I guess just in your opinion, do you think there's something that we should be doing differently? Like it certainly feels like Trump this time around is making inroads on all of that.
What could you do? Fuck. I don't know. It's tough. I would say, again, I'm sure a lot of people have the same thought process of me. There's just so much you see of just Biden just not being able to be coherent. That hurts. That hurts you guys a bit. I'm like, what can you do to fix that problem?
You think we rolled Kamala out more? That would help? How do you
No,
feel? Really?
no. Maybe, yeah. No, yeah, definitely not. I don't think black people give a shit about Kamala Harris at all. I don't. Fuck.
Do you think the media has treated her well? I mean, I am fairly cool on Kamala personally, but what really changed for me is I worked with her office on some initiatives, and it was a really uniquely good experience. So,
Okay.
like, I mean, I know she's effective at what she does. So, does that make sense to you? So I have a bit more of a soft spot for her.
No, yeah. I totally do. As somebody who's not like super into it, I would probably have a similar perspective of a lot of people, who are just kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
We just see Kamala getting roasted, and we see her like you meme that she says something stupid, and then we hear about her locking up black people to make herself look better. So you could definitely put out some good shit that she did. That would probably help. But I feel like might be a little late for people to change their minds on Kamala, but you never know. You guys are definitely running Biden like 100%. Like that's definitely gonna
unless he
happen or no?
dies.
Most
Fuck.
likely. I
That
know. I
uh,
know. I know. I know.
Look, okay.
This is
Well,
why Jane ran for
hold on.
president. This is why
I'm
Jane
going to push
ran.
back against you, Woo, right? A little bit. I think you're being unfair to Biden. I like Biden.
Okay.
I'm riding with Biden. I'm a
I
Biden
like
fan,
Biden.
okay? He wasn't my first choice in 2020. I'll be real, right? I didn't vote for him
who
in the
was?
primaries. It was burning, and when he was out, I wanted either Amy Klobuchar or Pete Buttigieg.
Got it.
Those were my two. And I was kind of torn and tossed between. I didn't want Biden. I was like, oh,
Damn, so he
Biden.
was
We
like
already had him with
fourth or fifth?
Obama, right?
Damn.
So yeah, he was bound. But that said, I think
Got it.
his presidency has been one of the best in my lifetime, right? I think he's done a
Damn.
lot. Much better, like yards better than Trump or Bush ever was. He
Okay.
was.
What about Obama?
That's a hard call, right? But
ACA. Come on, Wick.
look, Biden has outperformed, at least from a progressive standard, Obama across the board. I think that when it comes to foreign policy, especially, he's done very well. Obama got some foreign policy L's. He also took a couple L's when it came to the expansion of executive power, things like that. I'm much more fond of Obama than a lot of progressives are. I remember his presidency and how he saved the economy. Like, and I'm not kidding, right? Like, he saved us from a huge economic disaster in 2008, 2009, right? And so I have fond feelings of him for that. But when we look at the COVID pandemic and we look at Biden's response to not only that, right, and the after effects of that, but also to Ukraine and to Israel and Palestine, I think Biden gets a easy A. And if it's just his staff and they're using him as a puppet, right, then let's keep the staff, okay? Right? Whoever is in charge, right, whether it be the brain puppet or not, or him himself, let's keep them, okay? They're good.
Do you think it's him?
I think, honestly, yes, most of the time. He's old. He's old. He absolutely is. But if you look at some of his recent addresses, and just watch the whole thing, not clips. Well, let me ask you, have you seen any of his addresses in full, like his media appearances?
Definitely not.
You've
To be
just
fair,
seen clips?
100% not.
Then do yourself a favor. Go
Okay.
pull up one of his most recent, like, it doesn't matter which one, right? Pull up one, right? and watch the whole thing. Now, yes, he's much slower than he was back in 2012, 2016, etc. But he is miles better than I think those clips make him out to be.
Okay, that's fair.
I
will do
I'm
that.
with you on this. 100%. Wick, it's not that I don't think Biden's been a decent president. It's that I think we need an answer for people like your lovely guest here who have questions, and I think we tend to put our head in the sand on this.
No, absolutely.
We need an answer, and it certainly makes my entire job harder this cycle. So,
well, one of the media's favorite, I guess, acorn. I forget what their favorite narrative. That's the word. Sorry, their favorite narrative. I don't know why I said acorn. Their favorite narrative is Democrats in disarray. Okay.
Sure.
As long as I've been alive, that's been the funnest thing that the papers, that blogs, that CNN, MSNBC, even the left-leaning organizations love to fearmonger about how bad the Democrats are, right? Like how, whether it be from a place of worry, like MSNBC does, like, oh, if they don't get their act together, they're going to lose, or from a place of mockery, like Fox News does, like, haha, look at those Dems, they can't do shit, right?
Right.
It's always been a favorite topic of the media to show how useless and feckless Democrats are. And I think that it's lazy and it's just not true. Democrats, like it or not, are fairly effective most of the time. There's been some spectacular failures, right? But, I mean, that's just politics, baby, right? Like, every party has those.
Okay.
I have a question. So in every one of your videos, you come out with these insane zingers. They're so funny. Like the last one, the Steven Crowder one, you're like, I don't know if I'm on drugs or not enough drugs, and you're talking about it. Do you sit down and write those out as jokes, or is that kind of your like do you sit there and go, this is gonna kill, because your delivery for it is so deliberately dry and understated, which is why it's funny. Like, do you write those out as jokes, or is that just your personality saying something and it comes through as very humorous?
I think while I'm writing, I know where to put the jokes in. Yeah, I have a very like dry sense of humor. That's just how I'm very like Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's just
It's
how
great.
that's just how I am.
It's hilarious.
Thank you. So yeah, I write most of those out. But sometimes when I'm recording, I'll just do things. So yeah.
Do you ever have people that can't tell if you're joking or not? Like,
All
because
yeah, in real
that
life all
seems,
the time. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
gotta be a downside to that sense of humor.
Yeah. Like that's why it's funny, I was just talking about this with a coworker. People don't really realize that I'm like funny or whatever until they know me, because I'm very like, I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna fuck with you too much, and like unless I know like you're cool, unless that makes sense, because I don't want to piss anybody off, because
No,
I
I get
will
it.
give like this very straight face dry delivery, so I need you to be able to know that I'm kidding, or else I just look like an asshole. So
Yeah.
I usually don't use that unless I know them. But yeah, there's definitely times with even with bosses where they're like, "Are you being serious?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just fucking with you." So
Yeah, because
it
you can
happens
walk
to
in and
me.
go, I don't know if I'm high right now, but
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be a
One
problem at work.
thing I do want to do, right? Because we have a couple more people who want in. Brianna, I'd like you to stay though, if you don't mind, right?
Yeah, sure.
But I don't want to like hog the space, right? So I want to make sure other people have a chance to come in, and if they have questions for you, or if they just want
Are
to
you
talk
kicking
a
me
little bit.
out?
No, you
No,
both
I'm just
can
kidding.
stay. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
See, that's how I know you like me, right? Because you're joking, right?
A little bit. See, I'm getting more comfortable. Yeah. See,
Takes
this
a
is
little
good.
while, okay, right? Like, it was awkward at first. Not gonna lie, I was like, "Oh man, I'm pulling teeth here." But no, it's
Sorry. Yeah, it's a
no,
problem.
it's
I've
all
got
good.
one more question before we let someone else in.
Sure,
Are
one
you
more, and then
Please.
we'll
ever
bring
gonna
it.
hang up that damn picture behind you? This drives me crazy. It's just in the background
Nope.
of all your streams. It
See,
makes
this
me
is the
crazy.
thing.
I
This is
do
the
not like
thing.
this.
I have
This is
a
a
wire
problem.
situation here that I'm blocking, okay? And honestly, I don't like the fact that you brought attention to it. That's racist, and that was a microaggression. So it's gonna stay there forever until I get a fucking thing. Because I wasn't sure if I was gonna re-sign this lease, but I just re-signed it, so now I can start decorating and all that shit. So just for you,
Thank you.
I will. I will get a
It
shelf and put
affects
it
my
there.
OCD, and I don't like it, so that would be helpful for me. Thank you.
Sounds like a personal problem, but I will do it because I'm a good person. So
Beautiful. And with that, let's bring on our next guest.
I'm just kidding.
And gang, if you are in the audience, you're like, I wanna ask Kamal
Hello.
questions too. Well, there's a couple ways
Pay
you
me.
can do it, right? You
can
can
pay me
super
money.
chat, right? You can super chat and pay me, and then
Fuck
I will ask the question, or you can just jump backstage, get in the Discord, and when we get a chance, we'll play in. Hi,
All right, I'm here.
Periwinkle. What do you got for us?
So earlier you were talking about trans issues.
Kinda.
Yeah, and you said how you don't like drag queens in schools, right?
I think. Well, I think it's
Kamal?
I think it's a weird hill to die on, but yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully that's not happening, like at all. Actually, I have a really funny story for you.
Please
So
enlighten
one
me.
time in art class, for context, my art teacher is like very, like, dare I say, woke, very progressive. I live in one of the most progressive areas in the United States.
Okay.
So one day I make a piece of art critiquing leftist art by basically mimicking, I think, like some leftist meme, but like making it right wing. And she like calls my parents. She
Well, what was
like
the art exactly? I feel like
you
you're
know
leaving
that
some
Elon
key details out.
you know that like meme where wait, oh no, wait, hold on.
I don't know. There's like a million memes, man.
I
Like
think
a
did he mute
million.
himself?
I'm
I
just gonna
know.
list them. I'm gonna start
Good.
listing memes.
No, we'll give him some space. Give him some space. Go ahead. Keep going.
So what happened was there was a the meme was basically, you know that Elon Musk meme where there's one person who's like covered in like left, I believe, like left-wing symbols, and like the right winger with like the someone with the American flag and like Bible is saying no, and like they brainwashed you. Have you heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
Uh
Mm.
Come on, meme illiterate.
I am sorry. My bad, dude.
Okay, let's
Everyone. But basically what happened was the art teacher tried to like get me in trouble and she failed.
Yeah.
stick it to the man, okay?
Yep,
The good
I
on
stuck it to
you.
the man.
You fought the law, but you won. You were able to show your teacher who is boss. It's not the woke left, it's you. So I'm proud of you, okay? You get a gold star. Do you have any other
Yeah.
questions for Kamal?
Actually, can I
So
say something about
sarcastic.
that really quickly?
Please.
So
Yeah.
this is how I feel about drag queens in schools. It's not that, look, I don't care about drag queens. I truly don't care. We have a drag queen story hour at my local library. That's fine. It's Massachusetts. It's Dedham. I have no issue with that. The thing I get frustrated about is a political movement has to have priorities, right? You can only fight for so many things at once. And what I
Yeah.
find really troubling is it seems to me that often we're putting symbolic victories or these like high profile like culture clash issues as a top priority, when the thing I personally care the most about is, well, do trans kids feel safe at school? Do they have access to school? Are they able to like have a bathroom and feel safe? Are they getting discriminated against? You know, like growing up in Mississippi, I've seen a lot of people not have access to education and what it does to them. It sets them up for a life of poverty.
Sure.
So my issue is not drag queens. In
And I can answer
public
that
schools.
question.
It's just it would be the first like betting chip I would throw on the table to get to a policy that really matters, in my view.
I actually have like an answer to that from like my school. So at my school we have a GSA, like Gay Straight Alliance, and it's full of like hardcore communists and
Oh
like
boy.
anarchists. Yeah, the
That doesn't
purity
surprise
spiral.
me.
Yeah, the purity spiral is actually like what made me like a centrist and like more capitalist. I went on this crazy journey like after they kicked me out, and I lost pretty much all my friends
They
because they were
kicked you
all
out? What did you
Oh,
do?
the GSA kicked you out or the school?
the GSA
Okay. Damn.
because I said some transmedicalist stuff and other mean things they didn't like. So I basically lost 90% of my friends, whole story. But yeah, the GSA, what goes on is they perfectly good people go into the club. Like maybe they have like some like minor, not really noticeable like autism. Maybe they're like a bit quirky, and the club like radicalizes them and makes them think that, oh, because they are trans, they will never achieve anything because capitalism is
Right.
corrupting them. And what you know what these people do when they hear that? They
Mm.
self-destruct. They
Yeah.
get like 10 piercings. They try to look as queer as possible, and that like puts normies off. So normies don't want to talk to them.
Sure.
And then they go further down the radicalization pipeline. They start skipping classes, and you basically have like the situation where this place that is supposed to be a safe space for trans people like me is like just awful. So I'd say that more like leftism isn't going to fix the issue because you just give people an
Well,
inferiority complex.
I would separate leftism from that. I don't think that's
Mm.
leftism. I think a lot of people
You don't think communism is leftism?
No, I don't think that behavior is leftism. So,
Mm.
unfortunately, though, we see it all the time in leftist spaces. You can watch Kamal's videos on these, right?
Yeah.
He talks about how Hassan does this, Noah does this, and other big lefty creators will do these types of behaviors. But these aren't actually leftism. They're bullies, is what they are, right?
Mm.
They're intolerant bullies, and
Well,
it's
sorry.
no, it's one of those. It's one of the reasons why I'm not a leftist by any means, right? But I have some leftist tendencies. Like I have a little bit of that in me, right? Like if I get drunk on the weekends, I practice a little socialism, right? Okay,
Oh my God.
Who
but
doesn't?
exactly. But it it hurts the actual cause while empowering those individuals, because when
Mm.
Hassan can dictate what leftism is and is not to his audience, he now has a outsized power and influence in the space, and this is why a lot of them are rooting for Trump to win come in
Yeah.
2024, because they want more of that. And sad to say, Trumpism will empower the left, the far extreme left.
Yeah.
They will
Mhm.
be able to say,
Because then the left actually has a point.
they'll
They're
be able to say,
opposing a
you
real
should have
bad guy.
listened to us. We were right all along. And just like in 2016, when for fear of Trump, we decided to run into their arms, it's going to create a lot of problems, a lot of backlash. Anyway, rant over. Anything else before I let you,
I have
because
a
we have other
response to
people.
that
So
where it's like,
briefly,
what do you
concisely,
think,
please.
like I think leftism like far left inherently makes people like mean, because what do you think Karl Marx was talking about when there was the dictatorship of the proletariat?
That's a fair point. My friend, thank you for
Anyway, I
calling
have
in.
to go.
I'll see you later.
𝕵𝖎𝖎, you sent me a friend request. Did you want to talk about anything?
Oh, just
Or
you seem cool. So I
okay.
generally try to leave the door open to people that seem cool.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good to meet
Peace,
you.
dude.
Man, what a story, right? I was worried what he was going to say about the art project, though. Like, I was like, oh, no. What kind of art were you doing, buddy?
Yeah, it seems like he was leaving a couple little things out, but yeah, he seemed cool.
Seems like a nice guy. Hey, you're live. We'll try to do these more concisely because we want to cycle through. What you got for
So
us?
hi. So a while back in the conversation, you were talking about radicalization and stuff like that. That kind of happened to me pre-2016,
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of snapped me out of it was there were people that I ultimately realized were fraudsters.
Mm.
And then I came across this person named Destiny.
And he saved him.
Where are we going with this? Let's go. I'm ready. I'm here for it.
So
Oh shit! The suspense is
You're
killing me.
live.
one sec. Apologize. I was talking to somebody in the background.
All good.
Anyway, there was a few other people to help me along the way, but how do I put this? When you're dealing with a radicalized person,
Mm-hmm.
such as myself, when I pre 2016, you really can't really push really hard. You have to, how do I put this? I'm really not sure what to say here. Like, just nudge them along, so to speak.
Incremental.
They're incremental, yes. Be incremental. Don't just push it into their face
Yeah, I agree.
and
It's
say,
probably just gonna turn them off, right?
absolutely.
You start
Because
with
when you
gateway
say
drugs.
this is wrong,
Exactly.
well, yeah,
Weed is the
but
way.
whatever. But when you're talking to someone like me who was radicalized and now is or was
Mm-hmm.
red pilled, so to speak, was red pilled, um, and pretty thoroughly red pilled. Like, what's his name?
Sneeko?
Not Sneeko, no.
Myron?
He's now a I think communist, but prior to that,
No idea.
he was a pretty decent person.
Mhm.
I haven't anyway, whatever. I'm sorry for ranting.
No, it's fine.
No,
I
it's
just
fine. It's fine.
Take your time.
like it just how do I put this? I find it strange that people, and I'm starting to feel like this the way I was radicalized in pre 2016 about the left. Like there are a bunch of fraudsters on the left, and that's pushing me more center. So anyway, whatever.
There are, but here's the thing: there are fraudsters in every environment. Like any
Oh, totally.
movement or any place you go,
Yeah.
especially online, you're gonna have people because most people don't really believe in what they say they believe in. Well, I won't say most people, but at least online, that's what it seems like sometimes. Maybe I'm radicalized in that, right? Maybe that's my radical way of thinking is I need to
Yeah.
realize people are more genuine than I think they are. Anyway, what's your thoughts,
Yeah.
Kamal? And then we'll hear from Brianna. And then we'll get to the next guy.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you should let like just the fact that there's a lot of people who are frauds on your side push you. You don't have to listen to those people. You can tell them to fuck off. And I don't think that needs to necessarily change your views. But yeah, I don't know. I think you should always be like listening to other people and maybe always kind of like refining your views. But you know, if I'm left leaning and I see that there's a bunch of people on the left who are more extreme than me that I think are just doing it for the money, it doesn't necessarily need to change how I view the world.
I think I have I think Kamal, I come at it from a different place. I mean, look, I'm a Democratic operative. I want the left to win. Like I don't like support the center. I don't support the right, right? Like I have a political agenda. It's my job to get it done.
Sure.
So I don't think it's not that I think that the center is where the truth is. It's that, and maybe this speaks to what you were talking about, Mr. Square Peg, but I think there are tactics and there are reasoning that we've got to be able to get away from. Like, first and foremost, we've got to be able to talk to people we disagree with like they're adults, and we need to be able to behave like adults. We need to be able to argue about our ideas and not instantly get personal and start insulting people. So it's not so much that, I mean, I think you could, I've never met one of these people. I think you could potentially be a communist or a leftist and be a reasonable, rational political actor, right? Do the things that rational people do, form coalitions, raise money,
Just
work within
snuck
the
that in there.
legitimate political process. Oh, what was that, Wick?
You just snuck that in. I've never met a reasonable communist, but you know, just sneaking
it's
it
true.
in there.
I'm
It's
sorry.
just getting
It's
in under
true.
the radar. Go ahead.
I've met reasonable right wingers, but you know, it's not the radicalization that I object to, or rather the political point of view, as much as the tactics that I consistently see. And again, Kamal, I'm not trying to blow sunshine at you, but this is what I appreciate about your videos, because you're tearing down why these tactics are just flat out ineffective, or why they're hypocritical, or just lazy. And I think that's a conversation we need to be willing to have.
Totally.
Okay,
Like,
well, thank.
also,
Just quickly, because we do have a line, and I know Kamal's been here a while, and I want to
Yeah,
eat,
okay.
right? So
Yeah. So I found the person. It was Caleb, and he wrote the New York Times piece, "The Making of a YouTube Radical."
look
All
it up.
right.
The making
Shout
of
out to
Fair enough.
YouTube Radical. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here, and
Thank you.
always appreciate you. Bye.
And-
Mr. Square Peg, thank you for being here.
Shout out to you.
Oh, the next guest is actually the first person I ever had on my show, like ever.
Damn.
Really?
The 𝕾𝖎𝖎, yes. He was my first guest for my first stream to all of 2 viewers, but we'll bring him on.
Shout out to you.
Yo, 𝕾𝖎𝖎, what's up? Oh no. Hello.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
Oh, there we are. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little bit laggy maybe. I don't know. Everyone's screen took a second to load.
Oh, okay. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Good.
What do you got for us? You're live.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to talk about my story and get y'all's opinions on what we can do going forward and stuff like that. So basically, I was a typical Hillary fan all the way back in middle school days. Yeah, just waving the big H. And then Donald Trump got elected. And by the way, I knew nothing about Hillary Clinton. And then everything changed, right? I was exposed to conservatism. I think it was typically, some right-wing makers. Blair White, if you remember her, Ben Shapiro. I remember maybe a couple more names I could throw out there. There'd be some oldies. And then, that broke in the later half of high school. And I'm sorry, my audio changed. The later half of high school when I saw a person by the name of Sir. And it was my first time, having someone critique these views in a more critical, more objective lens of, what are these views and how do we represent them?
Mm-hmm.
And then as I kind of kept going forward, I started identifying, later half of high school as more communist or more socialist. And then, I also realized I didn't know what that was either. I basically kind of got tired of having all of these movements. And after that, I started seeing more people of a more liberal bend or a more conservative bend. And even though I identify as very much liberal, I began to realize how much other people's beliefs and associations were not necessarily based off of the opinions or facts themselves, but maybe more of a group association. Like this group I feel is right, or this group I feel knows what they're talking about.
Sure.
And yeah, and when I'm speaking to people now, especially conservatives, I try to keep a lot of that in mind, that it's not necessarily that I can bring up any one fact to kind of change, I don't know, your skepticism of the 2020 election or your immediate opinion about climate change. But what I try to do in that moment is to just install some sense of maybe confidence that, maybe you shouldn't be so sure about X position and so sure about X, claim. But I don't know. I wanted to hear how you guys are kind of dealing with those issues on the right.
Anyone want to take this?
Brianna.
Well, I can just say I always look for common ground and try to engage people in good faith. Like I did Lauren Chen show, I think last week, and like we have a very different view about the future of foreign policy and interventionism in the United States. But I'm always looking for that common ground that we can agree on. So
Yeah.
I think that's where you try to keep it at. I especially think right now with all the attacks on democracy, I think, really focusing in on this idea that, like, look, we both love our country. We may have different ideas about how to get there, but, it's important that we talk about this and settle our differences at the ballot box. Even if I can't find common ground with someone, I try to keep it there. So I really think there is a future in the United States now that, the Republican Party has MAGA, and I think we have the tankies on the left. My hope is that there's going to be a sane center of people that are just kind of done with the extremes. And it's like, I'm not going to agree with the conservative on, a lot of issues about LGBT stuff. But I'm sure we can agree on stuff like, school funding or, various things, right? So let's put away the things, or rather, if we can't find agreement on some things, let's look for the things we do have agreement on, like healthcare policy, infrastructure, roads, schools, and try to get more stuff done. That's kind of where I keep it.
I tend to mostly agree. With me, I just be as honest and genuine as I can, because I think that, like, most people, for better or worse, they don't care about policies. They care about the people presenting those policies.
Yep.
Like, they want someone they can trust. They want, and they will believe what someone tells them who they trust. And so I try to be a person that people can trust. I don't always succeed at that, to my detriment, but I mean, I'm just being honest with you, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
I don't
try
think
to
many of us
be
are.
right as 100% as I can, right? And sometimes it leads me to making all my everyone mad, right? But that's what I think. That's what I feel. And so if I'm interacting with someone who I know is diametrically opposed to me on some issues that are important to me, I will get, like, I will be loud. I will be I will be firm, but I'm always willing to have the conversation. Except for with a couple exceptions, I'm always willing to sit down and actually have discourse with people until I realize that they're being bad faith, in which case I'm just like, okay,
Yep.
cut them out.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah,
you
of
think,
course.
Kamal?
I think, yeah, I agree with both of you. I think you just have to try to find common ground, make sure you're being genuine and you're being good faith, you're being respectful. Like when I have conversations with my grandparents, for a lot of the times I would just shut that shit down. I just didn't want to talk to them, but I try to just like, my grandparents are conservative, by the way, that's why, and I am not, but yeah, I just, as I've gotten older, I just try to listen to them, see where they're coming from, and then I would just try to like, hey, but did you see this thing that disproves everything you're saying? And I just try to leave it there, and then maybe it can kind of marinate in their head. But I don't try to be like too like, this is why you're wrong, this is why you're wrong, because I think people, when it comes to politics, especially, they're very emotional,
hmm
and I just try to keep that in mind, and just don't be a dick.
True.
Okay.
Made your grandparents that way? Was it what era of the country are they from?
They are from the South.
Mhm.
Well, actually, my grandpa's from Boston, but my grandma's from the South. So yeah, according to them, they were like more democratic in their earlier age, but as they've gotten older, they're Fox News all the way hardcore. That shit stays on 24/7.
Oh no.
Fox News, Sky News. I didn't even know what Sky News
Ooh,
was.
Sky News. That's even worse.
Yeah, it's Fox News on steroids. So, yeah, I guess like I said, I don't know like exactly when they switched over. I think they just got a little bit more money and they were just like fuck this. But yeah, I guess the big thing with them is they don't like to be. They don't like they think Democrats like infantilize black people.
hmm
That's like their biggest issue with the Democratic Party. And it's like I understand where they're coming from with that. Now they let that like emotion and feeling kind of dictate everything else, which I think is a big problem with how they think. But yeah, I found that every time I talk to at least a conservative, it always stems from like one emotional issue, and they're like, "This is my team, fuck everything else." So
Yeah.
I try to. I know I'm not gonna affect whatever that thing is, that why they love being a Republican so much, but all the other things I can like kind of talk to them about those things. That's what I found.
Any responses, 𝕵𝖎𝖎? And
Yeah, so this was something that I was partially curious about when Brianna was going over her talk, which is just from an optics standpoint, with threats to democracy. How valuable do you think, when talking with centrists slash left leaning conservatives, do you think bringing that point up really is? Because I've seen a lot of dismissal of the threat of Donald Trump to democracy. I've seen a lot of, almost whitewashing of history of what Donald Trump has done. And it just feels like, outside of, the violence of January 6th, it just feels like an optical loser. But it's just a point that I really can't get rid of. I just like, I can't imagine like Donald Trump doing the things that he did and not bringing it up during the general election. So I was curious about how important towards the overall Dem strategy that was.
Well, I can tell you the polls show it has salience for getting our base out. I don't think it has much salience in the Republican Party. So, Wick, I think this mirrors what you told me you found when you were in Ohio canvassing, that you met a lot of voters that were worried about democracy. So I think, sometimes, look, it's certainly good to go talk to Republicans, exchange ideas, try to find common ground. Another tactic is just to get your own side excited and enthused and out to vote, which comes back to what Kamal was talking about, where a lot of people don't feel enthusiasm for Biden. That's a problem, and we need to be realistic about it.
so on this note, because I think that it is a question, right? Do we tack more center or do we tack further left? Because, well, let's not sugarcoat it. Biden's polling numbers are shit right now.
Yeah,
They are.
yeah.
They're bad. They're
Mm.
bad. We need them to be better, right? It does no one any good to pretend that they're not bad. They are. But we have two directions we can go, right? Because we need to broaden our appeal. We can tack further left or we can tack more center. Now, recently, and I've seen lots of tweets like this, but this is a good one to bring up as an example of someone saying, hey, Biden saved me $80,000 in student loan, but I'm still not voting for that sucker. Ha ha ha. That was from a leftist. I don't think that they're winnable. I think that the people, I think they want Trump to win. Like, honest to goodness, they just want Trump to win so that they can burn everything to the ground so that they can get more power. That's legit it, right? So
Some of
guess
them,
what?
probably, yeah.
Yeah, guess what? We're going to have to go more center if we want Biden to win, and we want Biden to win. And that's just what we're going to have to do, right? I long for the day. I hope, I pray for the day that we can ignore all those leftist fucking assholes, right? Like the extreme left, far left, like, right? Like the Hassans of the world. When we could just discount them all and we don't need them at all in our political calculus. I don't know if we're there yet, but if Biden can win in 2024, man, even with them trying to throw a monkey wrench into the works, right? Then I think that's a good indicator we could just cut them out entirely. And I pray for that day. Okay. Anything else, 𝕵𝖎𝖎, before we let you go?
No, that was everything I came to hear.
Well, I thank you for being here, and talk to you later, buddy.
Wick, how do you think you can get more people who are in the center?
Oh, I think that being stronger. Well, the number one thing you can do is be honest. One of the things that has hurt the left so much, and Biden's not Biden specifically, but the Democrats so much, is we've just refused to. We've told everyone the sky is orange when they know it's blue, right?
Yeah.
And we refuse to acknowledge any criticisms, refuse to acknowledge any wrongdoing ever. We never take accountability. We never acknowledge that some of our decisions were wrong. And we need to start doing that. We need to say, okay, no, we hear you on this. We'll work with you on this. We have tried so long to go it alone on a lot of ways. And I think that right now we are facing a situation where both the right and left are having the same problem. Both are fighting their extremists. Now, with the right side, that's Trump, okay? And they lost their battle to extremists. I'm gonna say it. They lost it, right? We're still fighting it, and if we lose it, that's game over, man. Right? Like we need to win, and so appeal to the center by common sense policies like we used to do back in 2008, 2012. We acknowledge the plight of the working class. We stop playing identity politics, right? We just start picking the issues that are important to everyone, and we just utilitarian the fuck out of it. And we say, okay, how can we get the most people, the most benefit, the quickest? And that's what we do.
I gotta be honest with you. I die a little inside every single time someone starts saying like using identity politics as a pejorative, because from my point of view, I think there's a large basis of the Democratic Party, say women, the massive basis of the Democratic Party. And you do want issues like, say, childcare, right? It's not a far feminist issue, right? It's just childcare, which is decimated during COVID and never came back. I also think, like, clearly, Black people are a huge, like, core voting bloc of the Democratic Party. And I think we do need to speak to, some of the inequalities that are out there, right? You've got to talk to your base. So I agree with you that we can't go to the extremes to win this election, but I don't think the answer is to say we're not going to talk to the people that actually vote Democrat. I think it's to look at issues like one you had mentioned, Kamal, the border. Right. The border crisis is something at polls. It's got very, very high levels. Like people, center, right, left, all want it solved. Look for issues like that cut across lines. Don't be shy about dancing with the people that brought you, but try to give messages that lift everyone up rather than going into culture wars. I think that's what we need to do.
Based. One more, and then we'll end this dance for tonight at least. 𝕲𝖎𝖏, you're live. You're the last hope for the leftist cause. Go ahead, 𝕲𝖎𝖏.
I am the last hope for the leftist cause because I'm going to agree with everything you just said, Wick. We own the center. Democrats are just fine. We don't need to bow to our extremists to win over the left. We just talk about values. So yeah, I'm not here to meme. Kamal, I liked your content. I think your shorts game is great.
Thank you.
I'm stoked to see more. I kind of came in with my own agenda. I like to talk about climate, and so I hope you'll address that in some of your content. Maybe I'll join the community and be around for it. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, we need to talk just like normal people. As Democrats, we can't F
but
around.
Before we do, can I just acknowledge how I'm living on stolen land right now? Okay, that my ancestors came in, okay, and took it and used the backs of Kamal's ancestors to build up my, what I'm feeling right now.
That is
his southern grandmother, like you were doing it personally. Yeah. But I mean, that is a thing. Like we can acknowledge that we can be idealistic. We can knock down these systems of oppression as Democrats. You don't need to be a revolutionary communist to say that, yeah, gender, race, labor power, all of these things matter. So get to work and solve them.
Based. Well, 𝕲𝖎𝖏,
I love
thanks
it.
for being here. Yeah, okay, gang.
Thanks. Have a good show.
Gang, it was great. Kamal, as your last word, what I would like you to do is 1, tell people where they can find you, and 2, say one good thing about Hassan.
Oh no. Oh god, you're gonna fucking Lex Friedman me here. Well, one, you can find me on
Orbiter, Lex
YouTube.
Friedman, yes. No, he's donated
Uh,
like $1,000 to my channel. He's one of my biggest supporters.
Oh, Lex has?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to him. You can find me at just type in 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 on YouTube or Kamal Was Taken. Pretty much everywhere else. One nice thing about Hassan, he works hard and he's very consistent. You have to respect his consistency. He's streaming every day. He puts in the hours. He puts in the man hours.
Fair enough.
That's nice, right?
Fair enough. Gang, check him out. He was great. Thanks for being here. That was fun. I'd love to have you. I know you're not a big politics guy, but I'd love to have you in my debate panels, right? I don't usually do interviews and stuff, but I'm always looking for more voices, different perspectives. Gang, what do we got coming up in the future? So I'm not sure if I'm streaming tomorrow or not. I may take another day off. But we have to talk about Twitch's anti-Semitism problem. We have to at some point.
God.
We might do that
Yes.
tomorrow.
Shit, is that a
I'm not
thing?
sure. Oh, again, they made Frogan Legendary Woman of
Oh,
the
well,
Year.
duh. Yeah,
That's a problem.
Yeah,
It's like Nick Fuentes Legendary Man of the Year. Oh, I mean, yeah, like that would be a problem too. So we're gonna talk about that Tuesday. We're gonna have Madam Genevieve on. We're gonna do Collins. It's gonna be relaxed. It's gonna be chill.
Oh,
Wednesday, gang, is what you're gonna want to turn into. Wednesday, okay. We're gonna have Not So Erudite on. We're gonna have Maya Luna on. We're gonna have Brittany Simon on. We're gonna have Rashad Crenshaw on, and we're going to talk. Oh, Counterpoints will be there too, right? And we're going to talk about Coomer culture in this space. Okay.
Oh, wow. Perverts.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are perverts. And how sex positive should we be? Is it turning people off? Is it making people uncomfortable? Is it making this space less safe? What do we do? I don't know. And Thursday, it'll be a one-on-one debate between Kevin Logan and Quibbles Over Coffee over Israel-Palestine. Anyway, that's me. That's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.